It's NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Martinsville Speedway, the Xfinity 500. Alongside Hall of Famer Dale Earnhardt Jr., the Mayor Jeff Burton, and our crew chief Steve Letarte, Rick Allen with you. We want to take a look right away at the point standings because they are so important. Now there are 7 drivers for 3 spots. Can one be the golden boy and win their way in?
Well, we are on the doorstep of the championship race, only 7 days away. We have to set that field of 4. Logano locked in, but it is going to be a heavyweight battle at NASCAR's oldest short track. I look at Ross Chastain and Chase Elliott, both qualified well with a little bit of a points cushion, Jeff, but I think this is a very difficult track to protect points.
Look at William Byron. I'm going to give you the good first. 5 points ahead of the cutoff line. 1 here in April. I'm going to give you the bad now. He's starting 25th. He has a ton of work to do.
And Chase Briscoe, minus 44. He must win. Can't point his way in. Has nothing to lose. Been the fastest car here all weekend. He said it was effortless to run those laps. And if he wins here today with a major upset, we go to Phoenix to race for a championship where he won earlier this year.
What about the 11, Steve?
Nobody's even mentioned the driver that has won more races here than the entire playoff field combined. Why not? Why could it not be Denny Hamlin's day?
5-time winner here. Let's get things underway. That means it's time to fire the engines. We go trackside for the command.
Hear me now. It is showtime. It is go time time. It is go, no go, lock and load. Love them, leave them, smoke them. If you got them, see you want to see on the other side. Time. It is time for the Xfinity 500 right here at Martinsville Speedway. And now for the command, loyal Xfinity customer, Tyler Keenan.
Drivers, start your engines!
Firing up. Fired up.
Well done. Today's Grand Marshal is Tyler Keenan, a loyal Xfinity customer and Xfinity Reward member. Xfinity Rewards members can access rewards like this and so much more just for being a customer. It's free and easy to join. Xfinity customers scan the QR code and explore your rewards today. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Xfinity. Do more of what you love with faster internet. Xfinity, proud premier partner of NASCAR. Toyota, let's go places. Coca-Cola. And by Northern Tool and Equipment. Start solving your projects today at northerntool.com. We're made for this.
Championship 4 lies ahead for Steve. 1 taken, 3 left for 7 drivers to fight it out at Martinsville Speedway.
Things can happen out of your control. Rivals flare up at Martinsville. Tempers can flare. Everybody's going to be mad at somebody at some point throughout the race.
Only 1 race remaining to determine who will make it into the championship 4.
It's the last race to get in.
You never know what somebody else is going to do. At some point, you have to take chances. That's what can, win your races and advance you on.
You better be good at Martinsville if you want to race for a championship.
It is all on the line today. The 4 will be determined. Want to take a look at today's starting grid brought to you by Xfinity. Up front, Kyle Larson, who won a week ago, won the pole yesterday. Chase Elliott, his teammate, will start next to him. Right behind them, 2 more playoff drivers, Chase Briscoe and Ryan Blaney. A lot thought Chase Briscoe was the best car here this weekend.
You see Ross Chastain, a playoff driver, back in row 5. When we go to the next page, you're going to see Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano. Logano, the only driver currently locked in, and then a pair of Las Vegas natives make up row 9, Noah Gragson and Kyle Busch. Noah driving that 48 car that won here a year ago with Alex Bowman behind the wheel.
Chris Bell was behind them. He starts 20th, but the furthest back is William Byron as far as playoff drivers go. Remember, at the end of each stage, stage 1 and stage 2, you can receive points. If you finish in the top 10, it'll be a difficult task if Byron gets up there. let's head down to pit road once again and get a few more stories before the green flag. We'll start with Dylan Welsh.
And Rick, apart from Joey Logano, nobody is in a better spot on points than Ross Chastain. He sits 19 above the cut line right now, but he and the team are well aware that that can vaporize pretty quickly, evidenced by just watching last night, if you were with us for our Xfinity Series coverage. And all it will take for them is one driver who maybe remembers one wrong rub or on-track move from earlier this summer, and their championship hopes could be over. The team isn't overly worried about retaliation this weekend, though, Dave, but they're not expecting any breaks either. Parker.
Well, Dylan, for William Byron in the 24 car, the good news is he comes in this race 5 points above the cut line. The bad news, a botched qualifying lap puts him back in 25th, but I talked to him just a little bit ago, and he told me, I think I figured out how we're going to pass here. It involves rolling up to the bumper in front of me and then beating him back to the throttle, as opposed to the old car where you could knock him out of the way. I'm just going to have to be more decisive with the way I use the throttle on the exit, Dave.
Good news for Ryan Blaney. His crew chief, Jonathan Hassler, is back at the track after a month-long loose wheel suspension. The hard part is the minus 18 to the cut line deficit that they have coming into this race. I asked Hassler about that. He said, it's not daunting. Ryan won well here. We finished 4th in the April race and qualified 4th today. So they feel like they've got a good starting spot. They could do it with points, or Marty, they feel like they have the speed to outright do it with a win.
Well, Dave, if folks at home are looking for an underdog team to root for in these playoffs, look no further than Indiana's Chase Briscoe. This team has scrapped and clawed their way through the playoffs. So don't let the fact that they are on the bottom of the playoff standings fool you in any way. I talked to Chase just moments ago. I said, are you nervous at all? He said, are you kidding me? I love these kind of moments. I'm confident in our car. And then he turned to me and said, why not us? They could come from the bottom, Rick, all the way to the top and advance to the championship 4.
You're right, Marty. Chase Briscoe in a must-win situation, and he has one of the best cars here. He could end up winning. Steve, tell us about the particulars as we break this race down.
Well, no better track, in my opinion, on the NASCAR circuit than the half-mile paperclip at Martinsville Speedway. 500 laps of racing, a little over 260 miles. The first stage and second stage, both 130 laps in length. That leaves that long final stage nearly half the race at 240 laps. The fuel window is around 150 laps. Pit road speed, a mighty, creepy 30 miles an hour, yet speeding, a big challenge. Space, a big challenge. You see the drivers checking their speed now. One of the most difficult pit roads to navigate just because it's so tight.
Well, Steve, you mentioned that 30-mile-per-hour pit road speed. In the spring, 8 drivers got caught for speeding at this race. And again, a penalty like that could end your championship hopes if you're in contention to get those points. And we take another look at the point standings as we get ready for the start of this race again. This will determine the 4 drivers that will race for a championship. We know for certain that 2 will leave here based on points in the championship 4.
Yeah, and if you're a Bell fan or a Briscoe fan, while mathematically not in a must-win, especially for Bell, you can make up 33 points. To think you're going to do that on multiple drivers would be a tall task. So I think the driver of the 20 and the driver of the 14 have to be thinking must-win to advance. But from Blaney to Chastain, I mean, that is less points that will be awarded in just the stages, right? Yeah. 20 points available if you can win both stages. So this is something that's going to continue to move all day long. Really the best time to take a snapshot after we see the end of stage 2. We'll have a great idea who succeeded, who failed to run well early, and then we'll know exactly what needs to be done in that final 240 laps.
Yeah, we're going to reset and make sure that everyone knows what's on the line at the end of each stage. Again, because those points are given out, the top 10 receive from 10 all the way down to 1 for those top 10 starting positions or finishing positions at the end of stage 1 and at the end of stage 2. A great crowd on hand here in Southern Virginia. This is the final race before the championship race. It all comes down to this. Every driver, when they started this year, they had the hopes of being in this position to possibly have a championship in front of them.
If this track, if this is the first time you're seeing a green flag at Martinsville and you think this track looks like or doesn't look like anything else you've seen all year long, you're right. I mean, this track, it really looks like a paperclip. More importantly, the curbing. We're going to talk a lot about this. As these cars go through the corner, down at the bottom, most tracks have an apron, just a flat paved area. Not here at Martinsville. To keep the cars off the bottom of the racetrack, there is that red and white checkered curbing. You see it right here. Now, your car can touch it. It's not going to spin you out, but it definitely kind of sends you back up the racetrack. That's normally the start of a disagreement between drivers. One doesn't know I hit the curb, I move up, run into somebody else. That curb is going to be something to watch.
There will be some indiscretions that we will be talking about today. All right, so Marty talked to Chase Briscoe before he climbed in the car. Let's listen in on the radio now to the 14 team.
Big pressure moment, can't set a moment. This is what we love about it. So proving wrong the whole time. Let's prove wrong. You get the best sticker on pit road. It's going to keep our track position all day long. I'm going to do everything I can for 500 laps. Get a grandfather clock at the end of this deal.
That's right. At the end of this race, a grandfather clock goes to the winner.
5 of Kyle Larson was the pole sitter, fastest in qualifying. He's elected to start on the outside of the front row. He actually also elected to not take pit stall 1 and leave that to his teammate, the 9 of Chase Elliott, to see if that will help him throughout the day.
This is it. 500 laps in Martinsville to determine the championship board. Green flag is in the air.
Larson clear of Chase. Blaney trying to work that outside groove to get around the 9 car for second. That worked really well for a lot of cars yesterday in the Xfinity Series.
Now watch all day long on these restarts. The outside will work for a few laps. Then you better find your way to the bottom.
Chase Briscoe in that 14. Wiggling the car around as the 12 of Ryan Blaney jumps in front of him.
You saw how aggressively Ryan Blaney hung on left. As soon as he was clear on the bottom, he turned left to get on the bottom to keep from everybody passing him.
The one of Ross Chastain just in front of Denny Hamlin here as we look forward from the Toyota onboard. That's been a story for most of the season. The dust-ups between the one of Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin. Will payback happen here at Martinsville?
I think Denny's got more important things to worry about in terms of just trying to get himself into that top 4 road to Phoenix.
Denny historically has been one of the very best drivers at this racetrack, but he's not won in quite a while. He's going to have to be his best today.
Joey Logano has already locked a spot in the championship 4 with his win at Vegas. Now he's fighting with Harrison Burton on the outside in the 21. Corey LaJoie just behind him in the 7.
Corey and his team been getting stronger and stronger as the years went on. Last couple of weeks with a lot of pace, improving every week, and that 7 car for Spire.
I'm surprised that 21 can stay up there as long as he's been able to stay there. Everybody else is pretty much on the bottom unless you've been pushed up onto the top.
William Byron, a little contact getting into turn 1 with the 43 of Eric Jones. Trying to watch William trying to work his way through this field, figure out how to get stage points. Start so far back, it's going to be difficult for him to be able to take advantage of it, while the other drivers he's racing around the points are taking advantage of it. You see William, he had a little bit of a nose underneath the 43, didn't want to give it up. It's so hard to pass here. It is so hard to pass. If you've got a little bit of, if you can get an inch or 2 on a guy, you cannot get that up. The 43 coming down the track. William gets into the curb trying to stay off of it.
All that work that William Byron has done, you just saw how hard he's having to drive. He's picked up 1 spot. Yeah. That's how difficult the day is going to be, and you're going to have to be aggressive when it's appropriate and calm when it's appropriate. Knowing when to flip that switch is very important to complete 500 miles here.
19 of Martin Truex Jr. We see him, and now a little contact between Martin Truex Jr. and the 43 of Eric Jones.
Yeah, Jones is running real tight around the corner. Door slamming a little bit. That's a lot of fun to do here in Martinsville. Early in the race to be doing that.
Unless you're the one getting slammed. Fun to do it, but not fun to have it done to you.
Kyle Larson out front by 0.8 of a second already over Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, and Brad Keselowski are the top 5. And want to take a look at the Xfinity fastest lap turned by Kyle Larson. 20.02 seconds to cover a little over a half mile here at Martinsville.
In practice, we had these guys running 1990s. fall off after a handful of laps, probably 20, 30 laps, was to a 20-20, 20-30. The tire was putting a lot of rubber down. It's already starting to do that now. That's what the drivers want. That's going to get them sliding around and moving around, searching for grip.
See Chastain right there. He just showed his teammate Suarez, I want this position. Suarez saying, all right, you're a little faster than I am. I see you want it, so he's going to let him go by on the outside. Then you go by on the outside, prohibits anyone else from taking advantage of you deciding the car is faster and letting him go.
And the reason he let him go on the outside, he didn't want to get stuck on the outside and then freight trained on the inside by, for example, Denny Hamlin, who's behind him.
Yeah, now Denny can't expect that same move over. Denny's going to have to earn it much harder fashion than Chastain did. You see Chastain starting to drive away a little bit from Suarez.
And Jeff, you talked earlier about Denny Hamlin not winning here in a while. It was 2015, and so to earn a win here today, they had to change everything. Finished 28th here in the April race. They were the only playoff driver not to lead a lap during that event. Chris Gabehart told me the test over 2 days here was critically important. They found the things that they needed for Denny. Even though Denny wouldn't drive this car the same way he drove the old car, he might be able to find the same magic he did to 5 wins here.
Yeah, Dave, we ride along with Denny Hamlin. Watch his right hand shifting an upshift into 4th gear. It's a 5-speed transmission, but they only use 3rd and 4th on this racetrack. So you're watching he'll downshift as he enters, upshift to 4th, and as he enters 3, hand comes off the wheel, downshifts into 3rd gear.
We don't even see that left hand. I mean, he's not abiding by the 10 and 2 rule that we're all taught when we learn to drive.
Everybody has their own little way of turning the steering wheel, holding the steering wheel where they like their hands to be.
Marty, Chase Briscoe, after starting in that 3rd spot, falling back 1 position. How are they doing?
He feels pretty good about the car, saying it's a little bit too tight in the center of the corner, Rick. You know, Johnny Klossmeyer sat Chase Briscoe down early in the week, Steve, and he said, listen, we have to win. We both know we have to win, but to me, that frees us up, and that's the mentality I want you to have going into Martinsville. You kind of agree with that philosophy, Steve, of saying, hey, there's only one path for us to the championship for. It's a win. Yes, that's hard, but that mentality makes it a lot easier coming into the race.
Well, I love the philosophy, and the driver has heard it, because every time we talk to Chase Briscoe all week long, every time I see him answering questions, he's smiling. He's looking forward to this Game 7 moment for the 14 car. He said this is what it is all about. He looks forward for this opportunity. And I think that attitude, win or lose, is the right way to attack it, right? You're a professional athlete. You have to really embrace these moments.
He's at bat. There's 2 outs. He needs to get a hit. And right now, that's what he's trying to do here at Martinsville. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from NBC, the Xfinity 500. Make sure to download the official app of NASCAR. You can follow the action with free live scoring. There's also in-car cameras and radio broadcasts. Search NASCAR in your app store, and you can download and start a free trial. Larson running up front. Then it's Elliott, Blaney, Briscoe, Keselowski, Custer, and right behind him, Dylan, Ross Chastain.
He just got that spot from his teammate Daniel Suarez, as we saw. Ross just came on the radio and said that the car fired off really neutral, which to me means a little bit more on the freer side than the tighter side. They actually wanted to start this run and this race a little bit more snug, a little bit tighter, because they expect as the track rubber's in and the tires start to fade that the car is going to get looser. So they wanted to start off, I think, a little bit tighter than they are right now. Still not bad, just neutral right now for Chastain, Parker.
Well, Dylan, for William Byron, who started this race back in 25th after a botched qualifying lap, has moved up all of 1 spot in 30 laps. And as I look at those leaders at the top there between Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, they're already lapping up to 34th place. And so, Jeff, Dale, I'm curious, what point do you get worried? Do you see the 24 cars not making headway? We're 30 laps, 31 laps into 130 lap stage. The leader is approaching quickly, and he is just not able to make passes right now.
I think if he gets track position, he'll be fine, but you really can't make any passes. Everybody really running the same speed. No way to really make a gain on a guy or do anything extra into the corner. Braking zone's really short with the really good performing braking package that we have in this car. So not seeing a ton of change. Everybody's falling off, but they're falling off the same amount. 24 car putting a little pressure on the 45 of Bubba Wallace, but having a hard time making his way around. I think at some point, though, they're going to have to do something different than everyone else to be able to find that track position. You're not getting it on the racetrack. Do it in pit road. Steve, what are some of the things they can do? How much can they really risk with leaving them out there on old tires?
Well, I actually think with the lack of fall off, that actually gives these crew chiefs more options. You may not come to pit road every caution. If we get a few yellows, you may opt to pit when most don't, so you could stay out at another time. I think if we get enough yellows, the field will get split on 2 or 3 different strategies, and then it'll be who can operate when their tires are used. That's going to be the big key.
The other issue, guys, that we didn't see in the spring race is the track is starting to get blacker in the middle of the corner. See how the tire rubber's starting to lay down? As that lays down, it may force the drivers to run somewhere else. And then that can provide an opportunity for a driver to have their car drive better on the bottom or in the second lane. We saw in the Xfinity race yesterday, some drivers actually using the second lane. So let's see, as this rubber continues to get laid down the track, how it affects it.
Yeah, let's hope for that. As you see the battle for the lead getting tight, they found lap traffic, and be able to get around that lap traffic has proved difficult for Larson. The 77 right there of Landon Castle sitting right in front of the leaders, running the bottom. That's his prerogative. He's not doing anything wrong, but he's making it really impossible for the 5 to find his way around.
Well, it was an interesting point you just brought up, Junior. Larson, that last lap, ran a 20.83. And the guy right now, say in 31st, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., ran a 20.78. That is 0.04 of a second different from the guy leading the race to the guy running 31st. That's how close these guys are all running, Marty.
Hey, Rick, when I talked to Alan Gustafson earlier this week, he said Martinsville for Chase Elliott and I, always a track that we know we can go to and will have success. They qualified second. His teammate right in front of him, Kyle Larson, qualified first, but he said, I think that we on the 9 team have the much better long-run car. We're seeing that right now. But in the spirit of how things went down last night, Jeff, how hard do these 2 teammates race each other early in the race here at Martinsville today?
Well, it's so early in this race, Marty, and I see them working together. I see Chase Elliott, though, waiting for a mistake. And then behind them, Ryan Blaney, and now the 14 of Briscoe. As they've caught this lap traffic, now we have a 4-car battle for the lead. And so now you can't be as patient. You got to go and try to push some buttons to try to make some stuff happen.
Are seeing a little bit of, some lines changing. Watch the 14, that high entry into the corner, and he switches over and tries to get turned and come off straight and low, and maybe gain a little bit. If the 12 of Blaney slips the tire on exit, this entry, this high entry, then the crossover in the gas sooner, you can't get the throttle down. So what he's trying to do is get a straighter, earlier run off the corner. You're going to do that. This is a classic line, and it only happens when we actually do get this track rubbered up like this.
What he's got to have to take advantage of this, he's got to have that 12 car. Watch Blaney. He just wraps that curve right there. And he needs Blaney to lose traction and not be able to go that throttle, and then Briscoe can turn underneath him.
Finally, the 5 able to get it underneath the Castle. Now they all fight to try to be able to pass the 77 car, but Castle's going to fight hard to try to be the free pass should he get a yellow at this point. 14 almost with a move to the inside of Blaney on entry to 3.
And I think to your point, if you're one of these lap cars, you have to decide how much you want to fight, because the 5 was patient, perhaps more patient than I would have been. He finally put the bumper to the 77 because everyone was stacked up behind him. He could feel the pressure.
Well, that's when we start to see cautions.
See 14 to the inside of 12 here.
Oh, contact.
A little bumping and banging you see in the lower right corner of your screen. That was the pass to get by the 77 by Larson.
Blaney's going to lift and let this 14 by, then back to the back bumper. He's upset. You know how Blaney is. Short fuse. You pop him one time, he's giving it back to you.
Blaney has to recognize the situation, though. It's a long way to go in this race. That's what I talked about at the start. No when to be mad. No when to be aggressive. Also no when not to be. When to be patient.
Another Stewart-Haas teammate that's been quick in practice all weekend. That 41, Cole Custer. Lost the appeal that they had for the penalty from the Roval. Brad with a crossover there.
Drive's going really bad.
Brad
It's Ryan Blaney, guys. Ryan Blaney said the drive has gone really bad coming off the corner for the 12. That's one of the reasons why he lost that spot to the 14.
Well, this is the time in practice. The few people that went this many laps, this is when we started seeing cars fall off. We started seeing a lot more work inside the car. So as we approach lap 50, let's see whose car stays good and whose car starts to run away from them.
Good battle right there. The 41 and the 6, Brad Keselowski trying to take that spot back from Cole Custer. As they run side by side, that would allow the 1 of Chastain to close in. Cole says, man, I just got around you. I feel like I'm faster, so I'm going to fight hard out here.
Ross Chastain right behind him in the 1 as those two fight side by side for position. Kyle Larson, 0.3 of a second in front of teammate Chase Elliott. Larson coming off the win a week ago has the momentum. Things continuing to heat up front as we see the 5 being chased by the 9. And the zero coverage brought to you by Geico. And the grandstands here at Martinsville absolutely packed as everyone wants to see what's going to happen. The final short track race of the year, as Martinsville Speedway will dictate the championship 4, who those 4 will be that will fight for the title next weekend. More updates from pit road as we have 74 laps still to go in stage 1. Let's start with Parker.
Well, Rick, Kyle Larson has led every lap so far in this race. He works on Ty Dillon to lap him here. But take a listen to his radio because these drivers are always working on something.
It's a good 3 and 4 chasing the curve like that. Right now, being smooth, when you're running your smooth lap, you're better than all those guys behind you, and that's really paying off for you. You look great, doing good.
That's his crew chief, Cliff Daniels, just giving a little bit of information as he moves Ty Dillon out of the way there down into turn 3 to help him understand where he's better than the cars behind him right now, continuing to lead, Dave.
Great qualifying run for 24-year-old California. Cole Custer in that 41 car. He qualified 5th. That's where he runs right now. Trying to be a non-playoff driver to make a little noise here today. Car's going a little bit freer right now. He's trying to fight that off, Marty.
Dave, it's early, but another terrific run for Brad Keselowski coming off, yes, his first top 5 of the season at Miami last week. We're right on board right now with Brad. Car very good. I asked him earlier this week about coming to Martinsville, a track that he loves. He said, listen, we're not fighting aero. We're not fighting new tire combinations. This is a place where we can come and race everybody heads up, showing that he has speed at RFK, sitting 6 right now, Dylan.
And Marty, both of the Trackhouse cars have been solid so far this weekend. Daniel Suarez runs in the 9th position. Reported that he just needed help getting pointed off of the corner. They had to make an adjustment on his entry into the corner. That seemed to help a little bit, but I think they were expecting to be a little bit better at this point in the run. So they felt like after an adjustment they made in practice yesterday about 40 or 50, the car was going to start coming to them. It hasn't really yet, so expect some adjustments here from Suarez the first time down pit road.
It's going to be a very tough battle of patience all the cars just with the shifting, they're able to kind of mask some of their handling issues. We're hearing a lot of reports on the radio of them being loose, some being tight. You know, they're not all driving very good. But with that ability to downshift that Jeff pointed out earlier, you can kind of mask some of that. As we see Chase Elliott reach down, grab 4th gear, drives down in here, goes to 3rd. The ability to go down to 3rd gear, watch it front. Watch how good this 5 car accelerates off the corner, right? It's even the 47 in the non-preferred lane was able to stay door to door with him.
Last several laps around the racetrack, Kyle Busch been losing quite a few spots. You know, 3 or 4 spots, but that's a lot considering the limited amount of passing we're seeing through the field. He's moved up the racetrack trying to find some sort of a change in balance, some way to get this car to fire off and run a little bit faster, but struggling right now with his 18 car. Yeah, we're starting to see some cars fall backwards. Some cars are breaking even. Corey LaJoie was running really well. He's starting to lose some spots. We're starting to see some cars struggle.
70 laps in, we start to finally see this racetrack throw these guys a little challenge, Dylan.
And Kyle Busch has struggled really from the start. He has been really loose. Can't emphasize that enough throughout this entire run, which is the opposite from how they started this weekend. They were too tight in practice. Talked to intern crew chief Seth Chodka, and he echoed that. Said that they were just way too tight, corner was way too chopped up, so maybe went too far the other direction here for Kyle as he is way too free.
Yeah, you can see how he's fighting this race car, and guess what? There's the leader. Ty Gibbs, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch, Austin Cindric right in front. I mean, they're back there. They're not having a great day. Cindric's 26th, Reddick 27th.
And just a half a lap ahead of the leader is the 24 of Byron. 64 laps to go in this stage. No real threat yet of any kind of yellow, so Byron may have that leader right on his tail here in a handful of laps.
Gibbs is running 28th. He right now is in front of Kyle Larson and the last car on the lead lap. So already Kyle Busch, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Haley, Dillon, Castle, Ware, Yaley, McLeod, all a lap down. Parker.
And guys, as you referenced there, the leaders are compared to William Byron. He was just told on the radio 2 laps ago, the leader is coming. Go as we pass the lead.
Chase Elliott on the inside. Can he take the top spot away? He will. Chase Elliott now leading at Martinsville.
Good work. Take care of your tires now.
And that guy behind him in the 14, he's like, hey, I see the issues this 5's having. Now I'm coming up there. I want that position as well. He's going to try to push the pressure on this 5. Larson moving around the racetrack, trying to figure out how to get this car to fire off again. He's lost a lot of pace over the last couple of laps, struggling with the balance. Briscoe trying to take seconds away. Trying to take second away here as we ride on board the roof cam, the Northern Tool and Equipment camera. Good drive off for the 5 right there. He puts a little distance between him and the 14 down into turn 3. A lot of traffic up there though. Here comes the 12 of Blaney as well. Struggling with the drive off on that car, but he's found some adjustments inside the car, the driver's tools, brake bias, and things like that that can improve your car when it starts to go away.
Chase Elliott lost the lead to Kyle Larson trying to get by Ty Gibbs. So this pressure is going to continue to mount with all of these cars stacking up behind you. The leader is not going to be as patient with these guys he's trying to lap.
So again, out front, it's Chase Elliott and Larson right behind him. And now Chase Elliott is kind of the head of the spear as he's trying to get this field to get through the lap traffic. He just puts the 23 of Ty Gibbs a lap down, and then the bumper goes to the back of Gibbs from Kyle Larson. Elliott's out front, Larson running second. Briscoe, Blaney, and Custer all a part of the top 5 with 57 laps to go in stage 1. Hey race fans, when you're in Las Vegas, stay where the racers stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino and Spa. Your ultimate pit stop on the Las Vegas Strip. South Point, everything you want, all under one roof. Chase Elliott holding off now, the 5 of Larson. Briscoe running still in that 3rd position. Custer and Kozlowski 4th and 5th. Blaney, Hamlin, Chastain, Suarez, Harvick, all in the top 10. But look at what happened here with the 12.
Yeah, the 41 of Cole Custer. Not really to the inside yet, but he's going to send it down in here and
Send the 12 up the racetrack. Cole been fast all weekend. Didn't really waste any time trying to get around the 12 on that moment. Blaney's fuse is lit. Imagine that he's going to have something to feed back these guys here later in the race.
Oh, Junior, I got some feedback for you from the 12, but stand by while I update the 11 real quick. Going the right direction, and that's what Chris Gabehart told me this morning. We don't know if we have the magic that Denny's had in the past here, but we believe that the car is good enough to make some passes. And remember, his points position is going to flicker between red and green most of the day. He needs points here in stage 1. Right now he's in position. Ryan Blaney's kind of in the same spot, but worse off on points. As for losing all these spots, listen.
I'm way too loose. Cannot drive it. Exit pair, entry terrible. I'll make an adjustment. Keep out for me.
So there's the feedback. 46 to go in this stage, so it's a lot to handle until he gets there.
Interesting fight here between the 41 and 14 from Stewart Haas Racing. We see Cole Custer working by now Chase Briscoe, taking that 3rd spot away.
Here comes the 11 as well. I think the 41 intentionally, unintentionally got into the back of the 14 off turn 4. That's put the 14 up in this outside groove, fighting for these positions, trying not to lose too many now.
Guys, I want to tip a hat to the crew chiefs, the teams, and the Goodyear for bringing something here that has changed the pace of these cars over the long run. In the spring, everyone kind of ran the same time for the entire race. Not so here. Early on tires, everybody was pretty well lined up, but here we are, 86 laps into the run, and there are some upset drivers and some ill-handling race cars on this racetrack.
And some of these guys, I'm going to mention a few names, the 5, the 41 of Cole Custer, they ain't wasting any time. When they get to your bumper, you're going to get a shot. You get one little shot to get out of the way, and then it's going to get harder each corner after that. A lot of these guys, when they're getting to the lap cars, wasting no time moving them up off the racetrack.
Marty, is Chase Briscoe a little frustrated with how things are going right now?
No words about his teammate moving him out of the way, but he settled in there in 5th. It's always tough here at Martinsville, but even tougher if you have radio issues. Listen to what the 14 radio sounds like.
Radio is like bad. Joe, are you spotting the 47? Didn't hear you call the 47, Joe, if you were talking. Yeah, I was. I heard myself.
So that's spotter Joey Campbell saying, I can hear myself feedback sometimes, so I can't imagine, Jeff, what that would be like when you're trying to concentrate 500 laps here at Martinsville and you have that going on in your ear as well.
Yeah, it's hectic enough. You know, running Martinsville is so difficult in and of itself, and you need that information. You need to have clear communication with your spotter, your crew chief, and that all just makes it worse, for sure.
I just thought with all these trick code words, they went all the way to Morse code, Rick. Maybe they were just
that was a dash.
3 dashes for loose, 4 taps for tight. You know.
One car, guys, that has found his way, Christopher Bell. He came in here 33 points behind the cut line. He started 20th. He is wasting no time. See, he put pressure on Joey Logano. He is driven up to 12th place, and he is passing Logano for that spot. So he's headed in the right direction, Dave.
And Jeff, they did not have a good test here. Teammate Denny Hamlin, they did. When I talked to Adam Stevens, the crew chief for Christopher Bell this morning, he told me that they used some information from the 11 that really helped this 20 car get set for the weekend. Confirmed in practice and qualifying, now moving his way forward. Remember, they have to win today.
This car looks really good. He's able to drive in the corner. He's able to go anywhere he wants to, so he can enter high like you talked about earlier, Junior. See, he never gets to the curb until the bottom of the racetrack. That's a really good handling car. He trusts the back of the car, the front of the car is turning. That lap right there was the 3rd fastest lap on the racetrack, running Kevin Harvick down right now. Christopher Bell, if this continues, he will have a shot. He has to win this race to advance to Phoenix and a chance to win that championship. Got a good car right now.
Here's Allmendinger. He was on the inside, and race leader Chase Elliott trying to get by him. Now Cole Custer, how aggressive will he get with the 5? Now he's caught up to Kyle Larson as we see the 9 of Chase Elliott.
Oh, Cole slips into turn 1 up the racetrack, has to give the bottom to the 11. Corner the last time before turns 1 and 2, he running the back of the 5 car, getting pretty aggressive, but he's fighting hard here to stay in front of this 11. Then he might get them both.
5 drifts up the racetrack, so Kyle Larson having trouble putting the power to it as he was getting off of 4, and now he's going to get past.
Yeah, Kyle's struggling now on that outside. Then he's going to get the spot, I'm sure, down here in turn 3 and 4, and Cole's going to try to fill that hole as well to the inside.
And as these cars start to lose grip, lost well over a second now. This is when Denny Hamlin historically has been so good at Martinsville, being precise, knowing exactly when to go back to the throttle, how deep to drive the car in the corner, and be able to do it lap after lap. This is exactly what Denny Hamlin wanted to see.
Tyler Reddick moves up the racetrack, and now Hamlin continuing to work on the lap traffic that Chase Elliott has put a lap down. Already, there are only 22 cars on the lead lap. 33 laps still to go in stage 1. Hamlin on the move. He's moved up to the second spot. A 5-time winner here at Martinsville. Elliott still out front. Saturday night, primetime college football. The Fighting Irish fresh off that big road win against Syracuse. They're going to host the Clemson Tigers at Notre Dame Stadium. Coverage on NBC and Peacock at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Things heating up front. Chase Elliott now has Denny Hamlin in his mirror. So the top two don't have lap traffic between them any longer. Hamlin can see the lead, and he's trying to chase him down. All right, Steve, can he get by him in 25 laps?
I think so. Half a tenth quicker in clean air. I believe the 11 of Denny Hamlin. We talk a lot about the tire combination and how that affects Martinsville. Some tires build loose, some build tight. You see the rubber on the concrete. This has signature Denny Hamlin kind of written all over it. As he enters the corner nice and straight, he is more patient at the 1/2 and 2/3 mark right here. He is so patient. He lets the front of the car do what he needs to do and then picks up the gas. So easy to say, so hard to do. That's one major reason why Denny Hamlin is a 5-time winner here.
All right, Denny Hamlin's closing in now on the 9 of Chase Elliott, and it has been a good run for him. One of the things that Chris Gabehart noted, though, this morning was how much Denny's had to change his game here and not have exactly the same playbook as he had all those years when he was so successful here. This car is so different. Well, guess what? Denny Hamlin has adapted, Marty.
Spotter Eddie DeHaan working overtime for Chase Elliott. He just told Chase about 10 laps ago, every lap car you can get past will help us because the 11's going to press you by the end of the stage. I don't think it's going to take that long. I agree with Steve. 22 to go. I'm not sure Chase Elliott wins this stage at this rate.
See the most stage wins. Dover, Kevin Harvick dominates, 6. Michigan, Harvick again, 6. Darlington, that's Martin Truex Jr.'s turf. And then Chase Elliott, 6 Martinsville stage wins.
So now,
will it be 7, or will Denny Hamlin catch him?
So now Denny Hamlin, there's no traffic between he and Chase Elliott. So now what Denny Hamlin is doing is looking and understanding what Chase Elliott's weakness is. How can I take advantage of it? Where do I need?
Wheelhouse is 3 and 4. He just gets his rights above the rubber and turns off the bottom.
There you go. Great information.
Here he is.
And that, by the way, was Eddie DeHaan. He is the spotter for Chase Elliott, telling him where Denny Hamlin is better.
Denny is moving around behind him. Chase can see this. Chase can see what that 11 car is doing behind him and can alter his own line if he would like. Right now, going to stay right around that bottom. Tight on entry where Denny uses that wider entry to be able to get a quicker, straighter run on exit. You mentioned Eddie DeHaan. He spots for Justin Allgaier in the Xfinity Series. So drivers, I think, this is one of these tracks, even though the cars are very different, spotting yesterday would help a spotter understand how the track widened out. Now the 9 has a little bit of traffic here. Teammate Noah Gragson is going to go up the racetrack, get to the bottom. But then the 42, Ty Dillon is up there.
The 11's there. He's to the bumper.
Didn't quite get off that corner with the 48 on his outside corner exit. Slowed him down just a little bit. Draws back in on entry to 3 here.
So Noah's running 21st. So these guys have lapped up almost to the top 20. So these guys are able to pass, working themselves up through the field.
That was the kind of corner that the 11 was looking for. He just kind of caught the curb on exit. He's going to go in, try to get this turn. This is a big opportunity with the 9 being pitched off on exit.
What will he do when he gets there? Will he use the bumper? I think he did.
He got close, got really tight. Really, really tight off the corner there. Slid up the racetrack.
Now Now Kyle Busch is in front of him. Kyle Busch is struggling big time, already 2 laps down. He cannot put up any fight whatsoever. Look how loose that 18 car is.
During pre-race driver introductions, Denny Hamlin, in his home state of Virginia, was booed. The reason why? These fans here have great memories, and it was at this racetrack where Denny Hamlin got into the back of Chase Elliott, who was leading the race, and punted him out of the way. Denny Hamlin went on to win, and everyone booed here in the grandstands. And now all of a sudden, you have a similar situation here. Does Denny Hamlin remember that?
Well, if this was 13 to go in the race, I think his aggression would be higher with the front bumper. 13 to go in the stage. I don't know if he wants to make an enemy this early in the race.
Oh, 9 car up the racetrack.
A little more contact. Denny Hamlin trying to take advantage of it. Down to the inside. Let's see if he can make the pass. Elliott stays up high. Hamlin right along the curb, but Elliott pulls away again.
Elliott give him the bottom to keep him from running in the back of him. Says, here, you want it? I'll give you the bottom. We'll race for it.
They're going to catch this pack that's in front of them. Corey LaJoie in 20th place.
Under 10 to go. Side by side for the lead here at Martinsville.
Then he's going to have to use a little bit more racetrack in the middle of the corner. Just kind of come up the racetrack ever so slightly. He's going to make the pass.
Hamlin in front of Martinsville.
And this is big for the 11. Remember, this is a guy that we talk about every time we come to Martinsville, yet in the spring, nowhere to be found. Qualified outside the top 20, finished outside the top 20. Now we're on board the Xfinity Mobile off the roof of the 9 of Chase Elliott, and there's just nothing he can do as he watches the 11 kind of drive away. 8 to go in this stage. 122 green flag laps on these tires.
Now you mentioned how big of a stage this could be for Hamlin. Remember, one of the guys he's racing is William Byron. William Byron has run himself up to 19th, but most likely no stage points for him, and he is one of those cars that Denny Hamlin could put a lap on right here. Parker, what do you have on the 24?
Well, Jeff, you know, for the first 50 laps, he went nowhere. He went from 25th to 24th, but the 30 laps after that, he made up 4 or 5 positions, has gone all the way to 19th, but has settled right behind that 45 car. And for a while there in clean air, he was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. The team told him he was good to the end of the stage, but now you see trying to get by the 45 above Wallace, and the 11 is right there. It's not working out. It's going to be very close for William Byron here.
If I'm Denny Hamlin, I'm pushing exceptionally hard right here. I want to lap that 24 car. You got him down. You got to keep him down.
Coming in at the start of this race, 5 points separated these two at the cut line. William Byron was in. Oh, and a little contact there with Austin Dillon.
A lot of lap traffic here. A lot of lap traffic for these guys to navigate through. Denny needs to be careful.
But you can see how aggressive he is. He knows he needs to put that 24 down on the inside of Austin Dillon, right to the rear bumper of William Byron.
Now under 4 laps of racing to go. What's he going to do? Again, 5 points separated them at the start of this race, and now with Hamlin leading, that puts William Byron 27 points below the cut line.
William is so loose into the corner. Look how much better the 11 can get down in the braking zone. The 24 is so loose.
Oh, he almost spun out, the 11 did. Denny Hamlin was sideways behind William Byron, pushing to pass him.
He's going to have one more shot at putting the 24 a lap down. 2 laps to go in the stage.
He looks to the inside again. William opens the door here for Denny.
Cover the bottom, inside corner. Inside corner.
It's going to be difficult for William to hold him off here.
But now they've come up to more lap traffic. Can he complete the pass? He does.
Well,
Denny Hamlin puts the 24 a lap down, 1 lap to go.
Now he's thinking if he can get the 45, the 24 won't even get the free pass. He can trap him. So it's the car he owns. How aggressive will Denny Hamlin be to lap his own race car? I think he would if he could get to the rear bumper.
Through 3 and 4 for the final time. And Denny Hamlin is going to win stage 1. Chase Elliott finishes in second. Custer, Larson, Briscoe, all top 5. 4th time this season that Denny Hamlin has won a stage, and the 4th stage win at Martinsville. You see Keselowski, Bell, Blaney, Chastain, and Suarez all finishing in the top 10 at stage 1. Well, it took a while. The tires wore out, and Denny Hamlin took advantage of it, winning stage 1 here at Martinsville. One stage complete, the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs on NBC. The Xfinity 500 in 3 positions open for the championship. 4 and 7 drivers trying to fill those spots. As we take a look at the stage 1 points, Hamlin grabbing 10, Elliott 9 of the playoff drivers. Briscoe got 6, Bell 4, Blaney 3, Chastain 2. Noticeably absent, William Byron.
Well, Chase Briscoe's back on pit road because there's going to be a penalty. Watch the gas man right here. Jackets drop. Gas man unsuccessful at disconnecting the fuel can. It slides outside the pit box. That is a penalty. Removing equipment on the 14. He will start tail end of the longest line, running 5th at the end of stage 1. Now he'll have to start not just last car that's on the lead lap, but he'll have to start behind the lap down cars. That matters because track position wise, physically on the racetrack, he is going to be closest to the leader. So that lap or risk of going a lap down will be real and real very early in this stage for the 14.
Steve, you also mentioned that William Byron was the first car 1 lap down. So what that means for him is he gets his lap back because he was the first car lap down. He gets a free pass. Now he's back on the lead lap, but the rule is you have to start at the tail end of the longest line. So he will be back there with the 14 car. So got his lap back, but he's got a ton of work to do to keep from getting lapped.
And you see the 18. We haven't said his name much today, Rick. He's 4 laps down in 1 stage. Seems like a handling issue, loose. The right rear tire that came off that car definitely was worn heavily. So just a really shocking day out of the 2-time champ, Kyle Busch.
Through 3 and 4 as we get ready to start stage 2. The field approaching the Geico restart zone. It is Hamlin and Elliott making up row 1. And Hamlin waits all the way to the end of the restart zone to go.
It creates a lot of issues in the back of the field, as you see. A lot of guys with contact running into the back of each other, anticipating the start.
And that's Hamlin's prerogative. As the race leader, he gets to start anywhere in that restart zone.
It's his prerogative, Rick, but you cannot go below pace car speed. So if you drop the pace back too much, NASCAR can penalize you.
20 car with a little bit of damage. In front of that car, you got some of that damage exiting pit road. Maybe some of that right now on that restart. Left front's got some damage, right front's got some damage. Typical Martinsville racing though. It's fighting hard on the outside here. Contact with Brad Keselowski off the corner. He's going to take that position.
Stuck on the outside until that opening was there. A little bumping now between the 6, the 12, and the 20.
Christopher Bell, though, he's got to be exceptionally happy with the way this race has gone so far. Started back at 20th. Now he's in position where he can actually pull a win off here. So exactly what they needed.
Top 5 for Christopher Bell. Chasing after Larson and Custer just in front of him.
There's the contact we talked about off of turn 2. Cost Brad some momentum, allowed the 20 to get down in front of him. Blaney right here on board in the Ford Performance camera, chasing down the 6. Brad Keselowski. So much speed in this 6 car in the last several weeks. Really been fun to watch this team progress and improve each weekend. For the longest part of the season, Brad really didn't run that well. His teammate in 17, Buscher, did. Had some good solid runs.
Check out this digital mirror. See on the left side of the screen? What a great shot. The driver doesn't even have to look up. We used to have to look up to the right and high up in the roof. Now, keep your eyes on the racetrack. Just glance to the left and see exactly what's behind you.
And this camera right here does the best that I've ever seen in terms of giving you the driver's perspective. It's pretty incredible.
We can see the front of his helmet right here.
Yeah, so Rick, this is the driver's eye, right? It's a collaboration with Racing Force working with BSI to give you a look for Brad Kay and Chris Buescher's. Basically, it's in the helmet at eye level. So we really want to thank RFK for allowing us to test this, to show the fans just another great view and even a more accurate view. Dale, as you just pointed out, right? A very accurate view for the driver. This is something hopefully for the future. No telling how many of these we can end up in years to come. But thanks to RFK and Brad for doing this.
It's just a great shot. It is the most realistic shot we've ever had in motorsports. Because it's eye level, you're seeing exactly what he's seeing. Marty.
Jeff, Brad Keselowski's been one really pushing for this camera. It gives folks at home such a realistic view, as you mentioned, and that was one of his big points, just to see physically what a driver goes through. Steve, I want to talk about the performance of RFK in the second half of the year. His teammate Chris Buescher wins Bristol last week. Keselowski top 5 at Miami, here running 6th right now. This is legit speed. How does a team like this find speed like that in the middle of the year when testing doesn't really exist?
Well, and it's a very slow game. I spent some time with Brad in Las Vegas and an appearance, and Brad talked about how he first had to learn what it was like to be part of ownership, right? How do you divide your time as a driver and an owner? And it really just started with kind of a mantra and a belief of where you want to run, cleaning the shop, repainting the building, cleaner uniforms, a bigger approach, more respect for the equipment itself. And to your point, Marty, it's not one magical thing. You don't run better at a variety of racetracks because you found a trick or a knob to turn. It's stacking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of small gains. That's what got Chris Buescher in victory lane. That has what put the 6th car in the top 5 a week ago at Miami and now running inside the top 10 here today. So that's what's so hard, right? Is the change happens, Rick, but sometimes it's moving so slow it's hard to see. We're now seeing it on the track for RFK.
And the wearing of different hats for Brad Keselowski, going from a driver at Penske to a co-owner at RFK Racing. It's difficult. It's difficult to make that transition, and Brad Keselowski has looked out for the organization. He's been very proud of what Chris Buescher has been able to do, what he's been able to do already this year. Dave.
And Rick, don't forget the cameraman hat. Those are great shots for Brad Keselowski. He is seeing in front of him the 20 car of Christopher Bell. And part of the damage story for Bell comes from pit road. Here they are exiting. Keselowski in front trying to get by the 14 of Briscoe. There's Blaney to the outside of the 20 of Bell. And that's where that right front damage came from. Nothing to worry about right now. It is Martinsville. Expect some of that on pit road or on the track. And another note on the tires of Christopher Bell, they were really good. There was some blistering up and down pit road on the right front, but that was sort of expected, and no alarm right now from any crew chiefs.
Back in the pack here, the 24 of Larson, the 24 of Byron, and the 14, Briscoe. They are sitting in 17th and 18th position, but they are stuck as they've had to come from the back of the field. They're behind Landon Castle now, who's in 28th position. Parker, what you got on this 24 car?
Well, the team has been telling William to push here and try and get by that 77 and use the bumper because of the timing, right? We saw on the first stage where for the first 50 laps, William Byron could go nowhere. He said on the radio under the caution, that was because he was too tight. He needed the car to turn better earlier, but right now started in 17th, is running 17th, and just not able to pass even the 77 of Landon Castle. They have not made the gains they need to find in the short run, Marty, for this 24 car.
Boy, Chase Briscoe stuck in 18th. Parker, a moment ago, Johnny Klossmeyer came over the radio, his crew chief, and said, this run, we are 4/10 slower than we were on the last run. We have to go right now. Chase said, hey, I understand. Every time I cut under someone, though, they kind of come across my nose. So, Jeff, is there a way to describe how different the world is for Chase Briscoe back there in 18th, the last car on the lead lap, versus running in the top 5 just a few laps ago?
Yeah, he's 4/10 slower because he's got the whole field in front of him. I mean, it's just way more difficult back here. You can't run the line you want to run. You have to try to pass a guy in front of you. Got to keep the guy from behind you passing. I mean, it's such a more difficult situation that Chase is in right now. And I hear him saying, hey, we got to go, we got to go, we got to go. But there is a certain level of patience that has to be taken care of as well, because what are you going to do? You're just going to wreck the whole field as you plow through them. We saw earlier, guys, it takes about 50 laps. About 50 laps, we start to see tires start tail, start to fade, and that's when you can make passes. You just almost have to stay above water until that happens.
31 laps into stage 2. Out front, it's Denny Hamlin. He talks about these big moments. He's rising to the occasion today. For the first time, NASCAR fans can view every lap of NASCAR Cup Series races from inside the cockpit of any car they choose. Visit NASCAR.com/drive, or you can download the NASCAR mobile app today. Credit One Bank and American Express are giving you the opportunity of a lifetime. Enter for your chance to win tickets to the Daytona 500 for 25 years. Junior, you've been to the Daytona 500 a couple times.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Victory Lane.
Yeah, amazing.
That would be a lot of fun, as right now I'm sure Denny Hamlin's having a lot of fun here at a track where he has been able to win 5 times. Came in below the cut line in the championship Ford playoffs, and we're about to see if he can close out the deal. And what really has been already a Hall of Fame career for Denny Hamlin, the one thing that continues to nag at him and be missing is a championship. And right now he's in a position where he can once again fight for another title, or the first title if it's possible, in that championship 4, if he's able to advance and race next weekend in Phoenix for that title.
You talk early in the season to all of these drivers about their goals and their expectations. It's interesting because people used to talk about winning a championship, and that verbiage has changed to, we want to make the championship 4. I think everyone knows if you make the championship 4, that has to be seen as a success. Now, it may not fall your way at Phoenix because it comes down to one race where you have to be the best. But you just don't know how that race is going to go. Making that championship 4, Dave, in my mind, that is a successful season for anyone in the field.
I feel the same way going there as a 4 pit reporter. As for this driver, he is our Toyota driver update. Denny Hamlin right now running just ahead of Chase Elliott. He talked about pressure this week with our Dustin Long. Dustin shared some of those thoughts with us in our meeting today. Denny loves these situations where he's under pressure, kind of like sinking the last putt of the day, or even making that free throw that ices the game. When I talked to Chris Gabehart, the crew chief, about pressure, he said, well, you know what? This is the 3rd time I've been in this almost to the 4 pressure cooker, and they've all been a little bit different. But you know what? I'm not feeling the nerves today. I said, why not? He said, you start to understand the emotions and the situations, and you finally realize it's just what you do. Steve, I don't know if you've ever felt the pressure cooker and then didn't, but today, both crew chief and driver seem to be pretty calm.
You know, it's the same real story that we talked about with the 14, right? I think any of these 8 drivers, to get to this point in your career, along the way, you've had to kind of step up in big moments. And at that time in your career, it was the biggest moment. Now that they're at the peak of their career, at the Cup level, going for this championship, you know, this is it. This is what the entire season is built on. And to your point, Rick, about not winning a championship, I think that's, you know, Denny Hamlin, if that gets added to his resume, I think it's basically complete. I don't see another hole in. He's won all the big races.
Yeah,
now he's going to
Daytona 500 winner. I mean, it just, you can go on and on and on, and you know, top 10 in the wins list.
Well, team owner now. His footprint in the sport has grown. He's won as a team owner now, so he's continuing to kind of write his legacy and what it's going to be remembered as. You know, and I don't think he needs that championship. He's gone on record to say, of course I want to win the championship, but I'm happy with my career, and I almost think that's made it more dangerous to win a championship, right? That I'm not sure it's the must-have, right? I think he obviously wants it, and you see the effort he's putting in. And him and Gabehart have been a great combination. They're kind of very analytical, look at this very much by the numbers.
And Parker, 2 cars back, Kyle Larson won the championship a year ago. The one thing that's missing from Denny Hamlin's resume.
Right, Rick, and as we approach lap 50 here in this 2nd stage, this is where we saw in the 1st stage some comers and goers. It was just a couple laps later that Kyle Larson actually lost the lead in that 1st stage. One of the things Cliff Daniels told me about this race car, his crew chief, was the physics mean that the right rear gets abused. Take a listen to the radio of the 5 car just moments ago.
The last long run, your right rear and the 9th right rear were similar. Again, just passing on info, and I'm only beating you up just to take care of the right rear. Everything else looks good. Just cruising.
And that's the focus for his driver today. He said, take care of that right rear. As you see that little wiggle there by Kyle Larson down into turn 1. It's taking care of that right rear and comparing to the 9 car, which he felt was better on the long run. He's letting him know you did just a good job taking care of that right rear, so we might be able to have the same pace on this long run as we go deep into stage 2.
So that information to Larson, take care of the right rear, how do you do that? It's so this is a great opportunity to take advantage. Like, you've got Chase Elliott. He's starting to catch some lap traffic. He's the guy in front of you. There's not a lot of pressure behind you. Now's the time to not buzz that right rear tire. Don't spin it. Don't lean on it any more than you have to. Use these 15, 20, 30 laps to take care of that right rear, and then later in the run, it'll be better for you, and then you can take advantage of it and make some passes. So when you take care of that tire, if you wait till late in the run, it's too late. You can't take care of it anymore. You have to do it this part of the run.
Denny Hamlin is up front. Chase Briscoe an issue earlier on pit road. Maybe starting to feel the pressure. Joey Logano, he's locked in to the championship for next week. Who's going to join him? We're going to find out at the end of this race. On Saturday, next week, it's countdown to green. That'll be on USA, 5:30 Xfinity Series Championship race, also on USA at 6. Then Sunday, we'll find out who will be the Cup Series champion. It all gets kicked off with countdown to green on NBC and Peacock at 1:30.
Well, Rick, the 8 of Tyler Reddick has retired from the race. Let's listen into what they had to say on the radio.
I haven't felt right since that restart. My head hurts. Remember, health's more important. Don't put yourself in a bad situation here.
Anybody here, Xfinity driver or anybody?
Self-first. I mean, stop now probably, but let's try to screw the entire day over.
Yeah, there's RC. That's who we heard on the radio asking about another driver. He's going to climb down and go check on his driver. Tyler Reddick retires from the race from some sort of health concern. We'll have to follow up on that. There's RC right there checking on him. He was asking because you can't put a relief driver in. Now the challenge is going to be, being this close to home, any Xfinity driver probably would have already gone home. And the other issue is Tyler himself. He's a relatively shorter guy. You see RC. That's what I love to see right there. Look at that. Not a question. Not a concern. This is a driver that's leaving at the end of the year. And yet, Richard Childress, been in this sport his entire life, he is encouraging his driver to make this very, very tough decision. That's A+ ownership at RC.
He's going to, obviously, he's climbed out of the car. They'll take him to the infield care center and have him checked out. But very unfortunate for Tyler Reddick, climbing out of the car and no longer able to continue. Once again, you see Richard Childress there, team owner, talking to him.
Also, some NASCAR officials down there, they're going to want to understand, what is going on. Is there something in the cars, or are you just sick? They want to understand to prevent it from happening again. They'll try to gather as much information as possible.
Denny Hamlin now with a 2-second lead over Chase Elliott. That lead had gone all the way down to about 0.3 of a second. But Hamlin now pulling away from Chase Elliott with 63 laps to go in stage 2.
Chase has got a little gap between him and the 5 of Larson, but Larson has some company behind him. Cole Custer in the 20 car, Christopher Bell, they've creeped in. A couple of lap cars for Larson to get around, and this may be an opportunity for Custer, for Christopher Bell to continue to improve track position.
As good as a car as Chase Briscoe had, that incident on pit road where the gas can left his pit stall, that has put him at the back of the pack. Steve, you mentioned it earlier. Well, now Chase Briscoe is in jeopardy of losing a lap. He's running 18th, but he is the last car on the lead lap, Marty.
And just a second and a half in front of Denny Hamlin, who is rapidly catching him. They've told Chase a number of times on the radio, there you see the distance between Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin. They said, we have got to go. And he said, I understand. In fact, at one point they said, start moving people if you have to. That car right in front of him is not for position. Chase Briscoe's got to get all the way up to William Byron right in front of him there to be able to pass someone else, but really in danger here after running top 5 before that miscue on pit road. We talk about, Steve, how there's also pressure on these pit crews. We saw that on Chase Briscoe's first stop of the day.
Yeah, and this issue for the 14, the issue with the pit crew, the gas can coming out, putting in this 14 in this position, it's seen by all the other pit crews as well, right? You kind of knew it coming in, but now your thoughts, Rick, have been proven by this 14 car that if you lose track position, it's going to be very, very difficult to overcome. So you wonder if that's not building even more nerves into this playoff group of pit crews.
And Steve, that's only the second penalty they've had all year long as a pit crew. So a bad time to have a bad pit stop.
Close call for the 5 car of Larson off turn 4, left side of your screen. 31 car of Haley and Larson. Looked a little bit worse in real time, but in slow motion still the contact concerning for the guy up there in the top 5.
But we're getting to the point in the run where we're going to start seeing tires fall off, and you're going to start seeing drivers have to do more with their cars. 63 laps on this run. It's about the tipping point where it's all started the first run.
Once again, riding along with Brad Keselowski at that eye level camera inside his helmet. We want to check in on how Denny Hamlin is doing, Dave.
And remember the end of the first stage, Rick. We saw Denny trying to pass William Byron. Didn't happen, but he was radioed by his crew chief. Hey, you see the 24 and the 14 ahead of you. They're on the straightaway ahead of you. Radio back from Hamlin. Yes, I see them. He knows that he can help his day if he puts those guys a lap down. So they are in his crosshairs. Meanwhile, Ryan Blaney hasn't gone anywhere from his 7th restart position. And listen to the radio as to why.
Sometimes he turns it down, sometimes he keeps it a couple feet up. Great, I'm stuck behind traffic, dude. I can't move around. I don't know. 10-4.
Doesn't have that one line he loves, can't move around. A little bit of a struggle right now here for the driver of the 12.
Ran in the back of the 6 car a couple times. Pretty good over the last few corners. Take a look at it. Coming in the screen. Wham, right there, and then down in turn 1 and 2. Even more contact. These guys are getting the pressure from their team, from their crew chiefs. Hey, use the bumper. And this is the result of that. But you got to be careful. Upset a veteran like Brad Keselowski with nothing to lose.
Yeah, twice. Big hits there. Coming from the 12 to the 6. That's what it felt like for Brad. Here you're going to see it again. As he went into turn 1, he got bumped again. You're watching the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs on NBC. Xfinity 500 with 51 laps to go in stage 2.
Denny Hamlin has lapped Briscoe here. We ride on board of Briscoe's car. Watch the difference in how much better than Levicar gets off the corner. Denny now lapping the 24 as well of William Byron. Once he passes William Byron, he'll have them both 1 lap down. There's quite a ways to the next car on the lead lap of Michael McDowell.
Refocus as quick as we can.
Now it's a battle between the 24 and the 14. Those 2 drivers will be the first car 1 lap down. That'll be a fierce battle.
About a straightaway to the next car on the lead lap. Does Denny get there, put that car a lap down, whether it be McDowell or another car?
41 laps to the end of the stage. That's at least a guaranteed caution that we know that there will be a lap down car that will get their lap back. Denny Hamlin, once again, about that 70 to 80 lap mark. His car seems to get better and better as so many others are falling back.
And it turns so well, and he's right to the gas, right there. Back to the 20 car here, Christopher Bell. Quite busy there during the break. Gets down into turn 3, runs in the back of the 2. Little contact. Cindric says, hey man, I didn't appreciate that. Cindric's having a tough day, already frustrated, aggravated.
It's amazing how hard the drivers hit the other driver to move them out of the way. If you hit a driver like that in last year's car, they're spinning and hitting the wall. But with this car, just the way the bumpers line up, the way the tires grip, you have to hit them hard, and the drivers know that. The drivers came into this race saying, if I'm going to move somebody, I'm going to have to be way more aggressive. They learned that in the first race.
Yeah, Joe Logano talked about that. He went down in the corner and hit William Byron on the last lap, thinking he hit him hard enough to move him up the track, and it didn't move the car. And he realized, next time in that situation, I'm going to have to do it twice as hard. Marty, what you got on that 22?
Yeah, as we ride on board with the Coca-Cola onboard camera with Joey Logano, it's funny, I had that conversation with him, Junior. He said, I learned if you're going to hit someone in this new car and move them out of the way, you got to hit them really hard. Joey Logano right now, right in the 8th position. You know, he told his team after the win at Las Vegas, that's just one step to the goal. We have to keep the pressure on ourselves. And to that point, Dave's talked all day long about how the 11 team revamped their Martinsville setup. Well, so did Joey Logano and his team. Totally different setup. And they finished second here in the spring race to William Byron. Right now having a nice run, and they made the car better after that first stop to slip 2-3 on exit is his biggest problem.
Joey Logano, one of the drivers that will be looking for their second championship. If Chase Elliott can join him, he would be the other in the championship four that would be looking for a second title. Everyone else would be fighting for their first championship if they make it into the championship four. Blaney now closing in on Brad Keselowski. Blaney in the 12, Keselowski in the 6.
Yeah, they've been battling, Rick. Remember the 12 running in the back of the 6 there for a couple corners. Brad battled hard on the outside to keep the position. Now a few lap cars in front of him will present an opportunity for Blaney.
Blaney's got a good car, but not as good as he needs it to be right now. Hamlin, Elliott, Larson certainly are faster.
Brad looks low here, trying to see if the lap car will give him the bottom.
Little bump there.
Blaney's getting in the back, so Brad can't get in the throttle. Blaney's knocked the rear tires loose on the 6, so he now has to give the spot up to the lap car. Now they're side by side. Brad's gonna race him hard though. It's like, hey man, you're gonna hit me to move me out of the way. You really got to earn this.
He's gonna try to roll to the outside of the 31 and really pin the 12 back there.
They stay side by side. That is a fight for the 6th spot on the racetrack here. The 6 and the 12. And it looks as though Blaney nosing just ahead. Hamlin continuing to lead from Martinsville. Remember, NASCAR fans, don't let anything pass you by. The official app of NASCAR Tracks lets you stay up to date on the latest race and event information from all of your favorite tracks. Search NASCAR Tracks. That's in the App Store, and you can download it for free. The 78 of B.J. McLeod came to pit road, and you see a lot of smoke. What happened? Well, there was a fire.
Yeah, we've seen some fires in the rocker area of the right side. On the majority of the fires were on the right side of the car. This is on the left. It's hard to tell. It's definitely kind of in that general vicinity. The fires we have seen, you kind of saw more around the exhaust exit or through the vents that are on the side of the car. This one looked a little bit further forward. We're going to have to see exactly what created this fire. It was tire rubber that was piling up. NASCAR had made a rule change that they hoped would solve it. We'll have to see if this is that same issue. Dave.
And Steve, I confirmed real quick, just ran by B.J. McLeod after he hopped out of the car, and he told me that there was no damage to the race car. I asked him about rubber buildup. He kind of didn't know, but he said definitely no damage. The fire was damaged, but no damage it would have caused.
Right, he didn't hit the wall or hit another car, obvious enough. So it's going to be very interesting to see. NASCAR's going to have to take a look at that. That's something that happened to Kevin Harvick at Darlington was probably the biggest moment. Chase Briscoe at Richmond, we had a rule change after Darlington. But there's definitely some rubber building up out there, guys.
Yeah, there really is. Look at this. See the rubber starting to build up on the racetrack? That right there is really interesting. That's something we've seen in the past. Cars, if that continues to build, cars will hit that and they'll immediately lose traction. So let's keep an eye on this. This is something we haven't seen here in the last few races. And that's why some of the reason we're starting to see cars fall off later in the run. That rubber's being transferred to the racetrack and is coming off the tire. And so the tires are losing grip.
9 of Chase Elliott's going to pass the 14 of Briscoe. Briscoe had that pit penalty, ran so well, 5th in stage 1, just hasn't been able to recover. He's running 18th. There is only 14 cars on the lead lap. Denny Hamlin setting an impressive pace. Chase Elliott second is over 4 seconds behind.
We talked about Byron and Briscoe trying to be in the free pass position. Well, that has passed them because Gilliland and McDowell have also been put a lap down. 2 laps down is Noah Gregson in that Ally 48, substituting for Alex Bowman, who has been out for 5 races. And there he is on top of the pit box. And it was announced this week that he will return to drive the 48 car in Phoenix, back in his home state, hometown for Alex Bowman. So that was great news to hear. We've also seen and heard from Kurt Busch. He's also in the infield. He was actually helping the 2311 team earlier, carrying some tires around. So the 2 drivers that have been out for the concussion-like symptoms, both here at the racetrack, helping out their teams, supporting their teams. But again, great news to hear that Alex Bowman will be back behind the wheel for the season finale in Phoenix next week.
talked about the pace of this 11 car. Just lapped the 21. 21 running in 14th place. So there's only 13 cars in the lead lap. Denny Hamlin is flying.
15 laps to go in stage 2. It's Hamlin with a 4-second lead over Chase Elliott here. Denny Hamlin putting on a clinic here at Martinsville. Now a 4.5-second lead over second place Chase Elliott with just under 7 laps to go in stage 2.
Really smart here, man. All goals are met. 24 and the 14 will stay down.
Hamlin continuing to put drivers either a lap down or multiple laps down. The next car on the lead lap running in 13th is Kevin Harvick. And there is Harvick just in front of him. Can Hamlin get all the way to the 12th place driver with just 5 laps to go here in stage 2? Spotter all making sure he understands 4 laps to go in this stage. Just be smart. We've accomplished everything that we need to up to this point.
Well, the battle really on the racetrack right now is a good one between Cole Custer and the 20 of Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell gave him a little tap to the back bumper in 3 and 4 the lap before, but as they go through this traffic, Cole's able to get a little bit of a breather.
Also, we mentioned that pace of the 11. Well, Harrison Burton and the 21 and that 38 junior, they're fighting for the free pass. It's on the right. Now Harrison's got a little breather room. For the last couple laps of 38 was closed. Harrison doing a nice job trying to assure he gets a lap back at the end of this stage, only 3 laps away.
But Denny Hamlin only a car length behind the 4 car of Harvick. So Harvick's going to have to work hard here to stay on that lead lap.
And now he's got to the back bumper of Kevin Harvick as they come up on 1 lap to go in stage 2. Will he be able to get by Harvick?
At this point, not being a playoff car for the 4 car, Denny Hamlin has to decide how aggressive he wants to be here. And Kevin Harvick, I'm sure, will be a little more aggressive than normal trying to protect this position. 1 more set of corners for Harvick.
Denny Hamlin. He will sweep the 1st and 2nd stage from Martinsville. That's the 6th time he has been able to do that, but he's only won twice after doing it. Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Cole Custer, Christopher Bell, all top 5 finishes in stage 2. Blaney, Keselowski, Logano, Chastain, and Suarez are the top 10. Now, with only 1 stage remaining, will there be more aggression? We've already seen bumps to make the pass. Will people punt cars to get to the front? Let's take a look at today's race recap. It's built by Northern Tool and Equipment.
Yeah, the green flag of the race was dropped, and it was an all-Hendrick front row, and they swapped the lead back and forth. Chase Elliott taking it away from Kyle Larson.
Battle continued. Denny Hamlin going to Bray. He's been dominating ever since he made this fast. Denny Hamlin wins first stage.
Briscoe has an issue on pit road. Equipment leaving the box right there as he drags the gas can away up to go to the back of the field.
Tyler Reddick not feeling well. Tired from the race today at the Infield Care Center.
And actually, the aide of Tyler Reddick, he was checked and released from the Infield Care Center. When we asked him, he preferred not to talk. So we will appreciate that. As the field getting ready for the restart, we're checking out these shots from the Coca-Cola Pace Car cam, looking off the back now. Is getting ready for the final stage of racing from here at Martinsville. And Steve, we talked about resetting all of the points, the situations that people are in. Denny Hamlin right now is leading. He's led 149 laps. He's gained the most points you could possibly gain by winning both stages. But does that guarantee him a spot in the championship 4?
Well, winning would, but that's the only thing that's going to guarantee him so far. He has done a very nice job. Chase Briscoe's still at the bottom after we've looked at all the stages. Definitely a must-win for him. Christopher Bell even with the stages, he did score 10 points, but I think at that point, at minus 38 is my math, he's still looking at a win. And unfortunately for Ryan Blaney, having a very good day, but losing ground because of the dominant performance of Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott. He needs to make up over 20 points on Denny Hamlin. So it's starting to get a little bit more difficult for all of these drivers. We're going to keep an eye on it as we go. But at this point, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, and Denny Hamlin. If you forget leading the race and forget a winner, it's Chase Elliott, Chastain, and Hamlin, the 3 drivers above the cut line on points. Now remember, a win and you advance. So all 7 drivers still alive here with 230 laps to go. Now 230 laps at Martinsville is outside the fuel window. We saw Denny Hamlin wait on fuel, made sure it was completely full, so they should be able to go about 150 to 160 laps. Parker.
Steve, I want to show you the left rear tire here from Kyle Larson. Will restart second. Take a look at this blister almost right here in the center of the left rear tire. He never remarks feeling that or anything. No change in performance, but this is kind of ominous at 130 laps in that stage.
Yeah, that kind of looks a little normal to me, though, is kind of where they basically splice the rubber together, you know, the circle of the tire. So when you have a car that has great drive off, you can actually peel that apart a little bit. So it did look a little like a blister. We'll keep an eye on it, though, with this many laps to go in the race.
Field coming up to the Geico restart zone. We're back underway. The final stage as Denny Hamlin rockets away from the field. Another great restart for him. The battle now for second between teammates. Kyle Larson on the outside, Chase Elliott on the inside.
The 41 car, Cole Custer, having a good day. Never run this many laps in the top 5 in a race, so he's not in the championship battle, but still wanting to win a race.
Have to imagine, too, he's got a little chip on his shoulder after losing the appeal for the Roval incident. And really not having a great year overall. It's been kind of under the radar, lacking a lot of performance this year.
Chastain into the side of Keselowski.
Brad's in the fence just a little bit, a little contact.
And that's the first caution that has come out different from ending the stage as we ride with Brad Keselowski. Tries to refire it and get going the right direction here.
They were battling for 8th. Chastain was underneath Keselowski. Brad's been having a good day trying to get it fired back up.
Gotta do it quick here. Spin it out, spin it out.
Let's take a look here and see how this happened down into turn 3. The 1 car locks the left front up, loose into the corner, into the left rear quarter panel, just overdriving, overcooked the corner. Big mistake by the 1.
And Steve, you just mentioned where he is in points. He's now only 21 points above that cut line, but is that another person that Ross Chastain may have just upset enough that there might be payback in this race?
Brad was having a great
Hold the brakes. Hold the
he's
brakes.
going to be frustrated
Hold the
for
brakes.
sure. A good break, though. You know, unfortunate for the 1 and the 6, but I think William Byron's going to be the free pass. That'll put him back on the lead lap. Chase Briscoe now the only playoff driver not on the lead lap, so we'll have to see if he can fight his way back. Not a lot of damage to the 6 car that I see. I saw a little wall contact, but I think he'll be okay.
He'll be okay, but he's in the back of the field where it's almost impossible to pass, and so trying to figure out a way for him to rebound and get that top 10, top 5 finish they had the potential of getting today would be difficult with 226 laps to go. Dylan.
Junior, that's their concern, is now they're in danger of losing a lap, and they have struggled to pass all day long. They've run about 9th all afternoon long, and now they're going to be one of the first cars here that when cars start to come by and lap everybody, they're going to be in the danger zone. So that is their concern. They're going to bring Ross down here, though, and double check the damage. Don't think there's anything major to worry about there, though, Marty.
No words of anger from Brad Keselowski towards Ross Chastain. His only comment, in fact, Steve, and this would make you feel a lot better. He said, certainly don't have a toe link broken. I don't think anything is bent in the right rear. Matt McCall's crew chief said, well, that's good. As soon as pit road opens, we will pit for tires. So relatively unscathed for Keselowski out of that incident.
Yeah, he was running just barely outside the top 10 in the lead lap. He'll be able to come in, service his car, then pull up around all the lap down cars and should restart probably in the 14th position. So he definitely lost a few spots, but he should start in the 14th position, and I imagine right next to Ross Chastain, because they say he's coming in.
The way it always works.
Absolutely.
Logano on pit road. Martin.
You see Joey Logano coming down pit road. They had just gotten into the top 6, so we'll check to see why they are coming down pit road here. But Logano, who's had a really good car, and they've made improvements all day long, Dylan, coming down pit road.
So here's Ross Chastain, crew going to go around here, and it should be a 4-tire change. They'll double check that right front damage. Doesn't appear to be anything wrong or concerning on the one car, so routine service here. Chastain going to have some work to do and some cars to pass now as he tries to get back to the top 5, Marty.
Hey, Dylan, there's actually a fire inside Joey Logano's car. That's why I was questioning why they came down pit road. Joey said, I don't know where the fire is from, but I know it's coming from the left front. So now Steve makes 3, and they've all been Fords that we've seen catch on fire, and they've all been in the left front. So this is certainly something that NASCAR and the Ford group is going to want to look at.
Well, look at this rubber right here. We're going to show it, the crew member. Look at this big chunk of rubber. It's on the left side because I think the left side tires are the ones that the rubber are balling up on. Back at Martinsville, let's take a look at our Toyota virtual car and talk about some of these fires. We've seen now a 3rd Ford catch on fire today. I think it's the location of the Ford headers and the reference to the bottom. Remember, a rule change. This is where the header exits, both on the right and the left side. That blue hose is forcing some fresh air in to keep it cool, but what actually has been happening earlier in the year is the rubber was building up behind the nose on the splitter area. For that reason, NASCAR added a rule. They added a dam underneath this front lead rail to try to prevent this rubber from working its way back into the rocker panel area. That has worked so far. This happened after Darlington, but you see down on the bottom right of the screen, that big ball of rubber. Here at Martinsville, I think it's the left side tire that is balling up like that and somehow getting in this rocker panel area. On the right side, there's a change to this steel area. On the left, it's already steel to protect the driver. So the fire, not as big of an issue for his safety, but it is definitely a concern. You see the balls of rubber as now we're back under green, Rick. We'll have to see if we have any more issues.
220 laps to go, and as you mentioned, Steve, 3 cars already have come off the racetrack with fire on that left front wheel well, and right there by the driver. And so once again, Denny Hamlin with a great restart, and there the 9 of Chase Elliott right on his back bumper, did not put the bumper to him. And Cole Custer,
Cole's going to get
41, he gets bumped by the 5.
Larson tried to move him, didn't get him hard enough. Cole able to rebound, keep the position. Now the 20 on the outside of the 5. Christopher Bell's going to work hard out here. It's going to be tough to make this pass, though. Larson did not get a good corner exit.
Christopher almost has to make this pass. If he doesn't, they're lined up behind him.
And one of those in line is Blaney. Blaney, one of the drivers that has won before, but not this year. A record-setting 19 different drivers have been to victory lane this year. Ryan Blaney has not been one of them.
Larson patiently rolling around that bottom, can't get it done. The 20 with the momentum down the back straightaway, almost clear. Another great exit for the 20 of Christopher Bell. Now he finally has the position. Blaney's going to look to the outside of 5. Larson struggling a little bit.
Blaney, better acceleration down that backstretch. And now he's door to door with a 5 for position.
Blaney's doing a great job on this outside. I don't think Larson's car is driving the way he wants it to right now. They're all taking advantage of him on corner exit. It looks like Larson gets tight in the middle of the corner, and then when he goes to the gas, that makes him loose because he got a lot of wheel into it. That's have a little bit of contact between the 5 and the 12 car.
Finally, Larson lets him have it. Felt bad, I think, about the contact down there in the corner. Now, Bubba Wallace right on the bumper of this 5 of Larson.
Bubba Wallace running in that 7th spot. Larson in 6th now after falling back.
Suarez in the 99 creeping into the battle.
Nice run by that 45 of Bubba Wallace, plus 17 positions since the start of the race. So working his way very patiently up inside the top 10. Dylan.
And what a return to the seat of this 45 car for Bubba Wallace. And you remember, he told our Dustin Long earlier this weekend, he said that he hasn't lost the edge that he's been on. This has been a great second half of the year for them. And the thing that he hated the most about sitting out was that he felt like it broke the momentum that the team had. So this is a great run for them, for Bubba getting back in the race car, and much better than they were in the spring, too. They weren't very happy with how their race car drove in the spring. Learned a lot through the summer about this team, this race car, and this pairing, this driver, and they're doing a nice job so far as Bubba's been marching forward and now runs inside the top 10.
What a great job by Bubba Wallace. See Suarez underneath him right here. Contact. Boy, anytime somebody makes a move, they just go ahead, don't lift at all, trying to take a spot. It's been so difficult to pass early in these runs.
That would be considered, you know, against the code in years past, but with the inability to really drive up and pass somebody on corner exit, once you get a half an inch on somebody, you have to take it. You cannot let that guy come down across your nose.
Junior, you bring up a great point. How much has the driver's code changed even with just this car this year?
Yeah, I mean, you hear how they're having to run into the back of each other and move each other around. You would get so angry with the guy running into you so many corners in a row or using the bumper the entire race, but now that's the norm at this racetrack with this car. A lot of contact mid-corner, a lot of contact entering the corner.
Look at this battle. I mean, Joey Logano had to pit. He had to start at the back of the pack. He's gotten by several of these cars. Joey's got a fast race car, but now having to work himself up to the hill. Marty, what do you have on the 22?
Well, Coleman Presley, the spotter for Joey Logano, is trying to remind him, be as patient as you can. The car is really good, so trying to patiently work his way through the field. But he's already been able to make better progress than others who are back in the field. And as a note, Chase Briscoe is now the first car one lap down. If a caution comes out, he's in that free pass spot and could get back on the lead lap.
Riding along with Chase Briscoe, and that's what he sees here at Martinsville.
Well, you see on the bottom left the points, right? So we have Hamlin leading the race, Elliott third, Chastain fourth. Well, even if the 11 falls out of the lead, he would still be in front of Chastain, the way the points are going to work out. So Chastain's concern, plus 20. What can he have before a concern? His concern is the third place car. Christopher Bell, he's already done it once in the playoffs. He went to the Roval. Nobody gave him a chance, at least I didn't think. I was like, no, Christopher Bell in the Roval. He's going to run good, but not a win. He proved us all wrong with a walk-off win in that round. And here he is with a torn up left front fender, beat up looking DeWalt Toyota. Dave, and I think this 20 car, he stepped up before. He's going to come into play before this race is over.
It's a perfect looking car for Martinsville. When I talked to his crew chief, Adam Stevens, about what you just said, hey, we did it at the Roval, can we do it again today? He said obviously different circumstances, different tracks, and at the Roval they did not have a car that was the best on the day. They had to take advantage of an opportunity late race. He said, I believe we have a car that can win the race outright today with speed. They're showing it now. Bell runs third.
Yeah, I love it. I love the way this car looks. It looks relatively in control. Look at the drive off. Look what he's able to do versus the 9, right? This 20 kind of drives nice and straight off the corner.
Let's go look at how well this 11 car is getting around the racetrack. Check out some telemetry here, the progressive telemetry. See what Denny's doing to get around this racetrack. A little bit more, 40-50% brake there, and he comes off the brake pedal gradually to the center of the corner, what you call trail braking.
And also, Junior, see right here, you're talking about that trail braking. Now he's gradually coming off. Watch, he goes to the gas. He gradually goes to the throttle also. That's why Denny Hamlin is so good at this racetrack. He modulates the brake pedal, he modulates the rear tires with that throttle. He's at maximum grip, but he's never crossing over grip. He's never slipping a tire. And that's one of the reasons he has such good speed on the long run.
And we talk about getting into a rhythm. That's the rhythm of applying that perfect amount of brake pressure gradually entering the corner, and then trying to accelerate off the corner while also saving that rear tire. When we get to that 60 lap mark, when these things start sliding around, you want to have a little bit left. And so he's probably not asking everything of this car on corner exit, so that as he gets to 60, 70, 80 laps long into this run, the car's still driving really well.
Junior, I think a lot of fans at home think the way you go fast is just to jump in the throttle wide open, drive in the corner really hard, jump off and get a lot of brakes, but that's not how you go fast. That might go fast for one lap.
Yeah.
But rhythm, consistency, being able to do the same thing lap after lap, that's how you make lap time at Martinsville.
When we raced here, you would you know, get these long green flag runs, and if you're the 9 or the 20 sitting there in second, third place, you just want to keep the leader in sight. And you would do things like lift early, lift at the flag stand. Use absolutely no brake getting down into the corner so that you can save the brakes late in the race. You really have to be on this race car with 50 laps to go. You're going to brake harder than you ever have before. You're going to use the gas harder than you ever have before. You have to have something left, right? So right now is the great part of the race to actually dial it back a little bit, not really ask a whole lot of the brakes, not ask a whole lot of the rear tires, and try to sit there and ride and save this car for the long haul.
You may call it riding, but he's going faster than any other car on the racetrack. You're watching NASCAR Cup Series playoffs on NBC, the Xfinity 500. This very historic racetrack looks like a paper clip, and you can see that from our aerial coverage, thanks to Geico, giving us that beautiful view. And again, who's going to join Joey Logano next week in the championship for, well, already the Xfinity Series championship for, it's been decided. And so those 4 drivers will race on Saturday. Countdown to Green kicks us off on USA at 5:30. Then on Sunday, it will be determined who is the 2022 Cup Series champion. Countdown to Green gets us started at 1:30 on NBC and Peacock. And then the race begins at 3:30. All right, guys, let's take a look at the Ruoff Mortgage Keys to Victory Lane.
Track position, track position, track position, man. If you don't have it at the end of this race, that's it. You're not going to have a good finish. Hard to pass. These guys right here don't want to lose this track position.
Control your emotions. Understand the situation you're in. Don't get mad at the wrong time. Be willing to be aggressive when it's required and be patient when it's not.
Well, what's the situation? Understand the big picture, right? I know you want to win a race. Denny Hamlin has a dominant car, 193 laps led. But his goal is to make the championship 4. He's done that work in the first 2 stages. If you do lose the lead, don't panic and make it worse. If he finishes in the top 15, he'll advance. That's all he needs to do when you look at the math. So take a deep breath and understand the situation you're in.
Another driver that I think has to do that exact same thing is Ross Chastain. Here's a driver who has enough points right now. If they continue on the path that they're on,
yes, but
look at the big picture.
Well, but the problem for Ross Chastain, the big picture is if Christopher Bell's leading this race, Ross Chastain's out. And I don't know what he can do about it. Right. Running where he's running back there in the 13th position. You know, the one car has enough points, so don't panic and give up the points. But if the 20 wins the race, I mean, what's the one going to do? He's going to have to find 17 points over the 9 car, how they're currently running. Easier said than done with the 9 car currently running second.
Well, he made that mistake. Struggled that front tire, got into Keselowski. He's got to forget about it, right? Just got to go forget about that. Go pay attention to what's forward of you. You can't take it back. You can't relive it. You just have to forget it and move on. Denny Hamlin led 197 laps, and I hate to say this to all the Denny Hamlin fans out there, but he's failed to win the last 5 races. He led over 190 laps. So we know how Martinsville is. You get a rash of cautions at the end of the race. Everything has to go right. You have to do everything right. This team has done it all right so far, but still a lot of work to do with 182 laps left, Dave.
And Burton, think how the weekend started for the 11 group. Denny Hamlin was the only driver who in practice immediately went out and did a qualifying run. They call it a mock run. He simulated what he would do in qualifying a few minutes later. But qualified 11th ultimately, but Chris Gabart told me, we think we could have qualified much better. There was just a small mistake in turn 3 and 4.
The 3 car hard into the wall in turn 3 and 4.
Caution comes out, and Austin Dillon.
It's a massive hit, Rick.
Still waiting to see that window net go down for Dillon. It's already been a tough day for Richard Childress Racing. Tyler Reddick got out of the car, not feeling well.
Looked like there was some sort of failure. Car just went into the wall at a high rate of speed.
AMR safety crew to Dillon. Looks like he's firing the car back up again. I'm seeing, yeah, he's put it back in gear.
This is one of those racetracks. You think about a half mile. One of the hardest hits I've ever had was in turn 3 at this racetrack. I drove down in there. Practice actually had no brakes, and I am telling you, it was a massive hit.
There's Mike Dillon, Austin, and Ty's father. RC, grandfather to Austin and Ty Dillon, climbing off of the hauler. And now the window net is down, and we're seeing Austin climb out of the car.
had way too much front on it. I don't know what happened there.
Wow.
You heard Richard Childress talking about a front rotor problem.
That is a huge hit.
Oh yeah, it looks like no brakes. See the speed he's carrying compared to Chastain in front of him? Oh my goodness, that is a huge hit.
How violent that was when it hit the safer barrier here. That styrofoam that's behind a steel wall that is made to give so that the driver doesn't have to absorb and the car doesn't have to absorb that hit. But that will send Austin Dillon to the infield care center to get checked out.
Then the lap cars came by and pit road was closed, and Denny Hamlin took a hard left turn like he was pitting and then went back onto the racetrack. I'm not sure if he touched the commitment line or not. NASCAR will be taking a look at that.
Looks like Chase Briscoe guys with the first car lap down. So one of the playoff drivers, he should get back in the lead lap here.
Briscoe running in the 16th position. As you mentioned, he was the first car, scored 1 lap down, in position for the free pass. So he will get that. Denny Hamlin now on pit road. And bringing all the lead lap cars with him. Dave.
And Rick NASCAR said the 11 was legal, whatever happened on the backstretch there. As for the 12 of Ryan Blaney, he said they was going to have the car left alone, just 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. He'll use his adjustments to fire up better. As for Christopher Bell, the car was really good. I don't need anything on this, just 4 tires and fuel. And Denny Hamlin, well, he was a little bit tighter at the start, a little freer off to get an air pressure adjustment for that, Marty.
Chase Elliott much more in the game on that run. He said the car turned much sharper for him. He was pretty happy with it. No adjustments coming up here. His drink hose has clogged somehow, so they have to handle a water bottle on every stop. He'll lose a couple of spots here. Hamlin also loses some spots as a tight race off pit road. How about Christopher Bell there, Rick?
Yeah, a lot of congestion coming off of pit road. Pit stops have taken place. Quite a few cars stayed out on the racetrack that were a lap down, so they get the wave around. That way they can either get a lap back or get back on the lead lap if they were just a lap down.
All right, so I mentioned that first time around, the 11 kind of took a swerve like he was coming to pit road. Pit road was closed. So committing to pit road is 4 tires underneath the orange box. The 11 of Denny Hamlin gets very fortunate. At some point realizes pit road's closed, turns hard right. Watch the right front, stop it right here. The right side tires are going to go over the orange box. Therefore, he is not committed to pit road. Now, if he would have tried to pit after hitting the orange box, that would have been a penalty. If he would have had all 4 tires below the orange box and then went back on the racetrack, that would have been a penalty. So a little bit lucky, and I'm just going to stick with a little bit lucky. We're going to leave it as a little bit lucky that he hit the orange box with the right side tires. Let's listen to Denny Hamlin.
All right, when it's open, we will pit. They're closed. I said when it opens, obviously. Luckily, we didn't have all 4 below it.
All right, so all 4 below it is a thing. Now, if we take a live shot of where that is, it's been moved. So the commitment line at Martinsville used to be almost at the end of the backstretch pit wall, or the old pit wall. So I'm going to draw on it right here. The last commitment used to be up here, and this was just a white line. It made really no sense. So NASCAR said, well, I mean, if you go inside this curb, this is where the commitment line would be, because you can't really drive out over this curb. I didn't think there was even enough space still to do what Denny Hamlin did. Very, very fortunate for the 11. That right there could have been a huge mistake that cost him perhaps a chance at the championship 4.
But a slower pit stop for the 11 now has Bell out in front.
So we just mentioned the 14 car, Chase Briscoe. He was the first car lap down. He's going to get back in the lead lap, but a huge break for him because so many cars, 14, took the wave around. They actually will start behind him. So normally he would have to line up behind all those cars, but because they waved around, he is going to start all the way up in the 16th spot. That is a massive difference. He would have started like 30th, but instead in 16th position, but 30th behind everybody. That is a huge break for Briscoe.
Marty now has Austin Dillon.
Yeah, just thankful to see him walk out of the infield care center, man. That was a vicious hit. What happened?
I think we blew a right front brake rotor there. Halfway down the backstretch, the pedal went to the floor. And the big thing was just not to back it in, so I kind of turned right, which kind of sped me up. I didn't want to back in, so Yeah, I think I did a good job not getting the tail. Tried to do it right front first, but yeah, it was all good. Our Dow DAP Chevy was decent all day. We just kept getting the last bit of that lap down, so we couldn't ever get on the lead lap. But I want to thank everybody at Dow Chevrolet, and we'll have to go to Phoenix. And I was really wanting to get 4 straight top 10s and felt good about yesterday, but just didn't really have it today.
Glad to see that Austin Dillon is okay to come into the restart, Rick.
Yeah, and with that, now because Bell is up front, look at the points and the cut line. Hamlin 6 points above Chastain. Chastain currently running in the 13th position. Hamlin running in the 4th. Every position on the racetrack is a point. So Chastain can gain enough points to get in front of Hamlin without actually having to pass Hamlin and get into that championship 4.
Gonna have to start getting aggressive here as we close in on the finish of this race.
Christopher Bell, a must-win situation, now out front. The 12 of Ryan Blaney, also in that similar situation, has to win if he wants to advance to the championship 4. And right now, he's fighting for second with Elliott.
If you got Denny Hamlin shoved up on the outside, you're going to do everything you can to keep him there. You know he's had the best car all day long. Nobody's going to cut him any slack right now.
Blaney tucks in behind Elliott. Hamlin behind Larson.
Blaney gives a 9-car shot down into 3. Looks underneath off of 4. Can't get there. Smoked the left front tire into the corner.
See these leaders battling hard. This pit stop just a little outside their fuel window. I'm sure, you know, you're going to slow down enough. You probably could save. This is a track you can save a lot of gas. You normally don't have to do it here, but because you use so much brake, you can just lift a little early, kind of roll in there. So we'll have to see. But that's a long ways from here. 168 laps.
Ross Chastain trying to get by Keselowski now. And again, Chastain 13th, fighting for 12. Every point on the racetrack a position. Hamlin right now only 5 points above Chastain.
Chastain really needed to get that spot. Brad ran him really tight. Dylan, what you got on this one?
Well, remember who the one just got into. It was the 6 car who's right there in front of him, so Brad's not going to certainly cut him any breaks now. But the one thing that crew chief Bill Surgeon told me this morning about their entire situation today is just be situationally aware. All that matters is being aware of the guys that they're racing and where they're at. So they know now. They haven't necessarily come on the radio and told Ross he's got to go, but they've clued him in on the point situation and what's at stake. So he knows he's got to get going here, and he's got to pass some cars fast.
Not really had the pace to just drive right up there through them. So these type of moments during restarts with everybody sort of tight together is when you need to be the most aggressive to try to take as many spots as you can.
We've seen this over and over as far as the drivers that are right at the cut line will end up tied in points. Well, in this situation, if the 11 and the 1 end up tied, the tiebreaker will go to Ross Chastain, because you look at the finishes in this round, and Ross Chastain has finished second in the last 2 races.
Brad Keselowski deep down into turn 3, almost takes out the 4 of Harvick, smokes the left front. Really close call right there between those 2 guys. Let's take a look at that. Brad diving down in the corner. Harvick doesn't know he's there. Brad all over the curb, does a good job not spinning the car out, stays off of Harvick the best he can.
That's not a move you expect. No. Somebody would turn that late, right? But it's so hard to pass early in these runs. That's what you're going to see drivers trying to do.
You slide that left front tire, you take a little bit of rubber off the surface. Car doesn't turn quite as good.
Ross Chastain, he's going to have to be a little respectful there with Brad K. The problem they had early in the race, we mentioned it earlier, Ross is in great position right here with points, but as this race has gone on with the cautions and the way they've come out, we actually have continued to put more cars on the lead lap. So we're up to 18 cars on the lead lap now. So a guy like Ross Chastain, if you have something bad happen and you lose a lap, earlier it didn't hurt you so much, but right now you could lose a lot of positions.
Ross right now is in the gain mode. He needs to gain positions. We see Hamlin clearing the 5. So now it puts the number back to 6. as far as points separating Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain for that final spot in the championship 4.
Battle right here between Cole Custer and Suarez down into turn 1. Suarez will take the spot. Cole doesn't get the crossover there. A couple guys been racing in the top 10 all day long.
Dylan, how about Daniel Suarez?
Yeah, maybe his best run ever here at Martinsville. They tested here earlier this year and felt like they made a ton of gains. Daniel had never really tested here and never had that opportunity, so they worked on a lot of things and really kind of broke down what he needs in the race car to go fast here. And just before we went back green, the team came on the radio and said, just stay on your toes here because it's going to start to get physical. And he kind of said, yeehaw, let's go have some fun here. So the 99 car is pretty good right now. Daniel has nothing to lose. They're going after race wins and trying to build for next year and their playoff run.
Great season already for Trackhouse Racing. Suarez has been eliminated from the playoffs, but Ross Chastain still an opportunity. Laps to go. It's the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs on NBC, the Xfinity 500. 3 drivers all fighting to get into the championship 4. Christopher Bell right now up front, and he is leading the race, which will get him in if he can win. Denny Hamlin right now inside the championship 4 by 6 points over the 1 of Ross Chastain.
Well, think about this. The tiebreaker, which we have seen multiple times, is the best finish in the round. Ross Chastain with back-to-back seconds. So I don't think there's any way Hamlin can get the tiebreaker, because even a second today would go to your next best finish. Obviously, Chastain has a couple of them. I think the 11 needs to be thinking, try to go up and win this race. But can you believe he's only 6 points to the good? He won both stages. So when we talk about what stages are worth, this 11 car has won both stages. They earned 20 points, right? Ross Chastain earned 4. He earned 16 more points than the 1 car, currently 6 points above. We talk a lot about stages, but we're seeing in these closing laps how important they could possibly be to the 11, or how much the 1 wishes they would have had a few more.
Let's dive a little bit deeper into our playoff drivers. Let's go through the field. We'll start with Dave.
How about that, Rick? Christopher Bell out front in the 20 car after starting 20th. They knew they had a good car, just a little mistake in qualifying cost them a good starting position, but this 27-year-old from Oklahoma made it to the round of 8 with a walk-off win at the Roval. He'd make it for the first time to the championship 4 with a walk-off win here. Right now he's in position, Marty.
Dave, after the amazing regular season Chase Elliott had, it's hard to believe he came into this race just plus 11 above the cut line and just 10th best during the playoffs at earning points. Talked to Alan Gustin about that this morning. He said, listen, there's no doubt we have things to clean up, but I'm confident in the speed we will have to Phoenix if we can get there. They've done what they needed to do so far. Plus 17 for Chase Elliott, Dave.
Ryan Blaney has a good race car, the number 12. He started in a good position. That was fourth. It hasn't been perfect for him today, but he is so good at this racetrack, he has still got potential to get there by the end. You can see right now Blaney is out on the points. He'll need to have a stronger run here at the end, possibly to the front to win, to advance to the championship 4. As for Denny Hamlin, he lost spots on pit road. When I checked with the crew, I got a lot of shoulder shrugs, like they just didn't have their best stop of the day. It wasn't horrible, but it lost him the track position. Thank goodness for those 2-stage wins, as you guys just mentioned, Marty.
Dave, at the beginning of this run, Joey Logano was flying, but now the car just way too free. The Coca-Cola onboard camera with the outstanding views around Martinsville. You know, we talked about the advantage of winning at Las Vegas and being the first one in the championship 4. Well, one thing is you can change up things, even change up the pit crew. Graham Stoddard, the longtime jackman for Ryan Blaney, is now on Joey Logano's car. This is the first race for Stoddard with the 22 team, and their plan is he will jack Joey Logano in the championship race next week, Dylan.
Marty, think about Ross Chastain. The last 2 weeks, he's been one spot away both times from not being in a points position or a points worrying position at all. Has finished second the last 2 races, and now they came to Martinsville needing some points. Ross scored his first ever stage points at Martinsville in both of these stages, but it still wasn't enough. They're 6 out right now. They know the job at hand. Ross has got to get up on the wheel here and pass some cars, Parker.
Right, it's the same story, Dylan, for William Byron, who's now in 14th place. He came into this race 5 points above the cut line, qualified 25th, and was unable to score any stage points. Therefore, right now, finds himself 25 points down on the cut line. If he wants to go fight for a championship, Phoenix, they're going to need a major change in fortune. As he's gotten the top 15, he's just been unable to make any headway. The car's just too tight right now, Marty.
Parker, Chase Briscoe finally back on the lead lap, but they have not been able to recover from that problem on pit road earlier today where they did not disconnect the gas can when Chase Briscoe left pit road. Talking to him early this week, he said, listen, I'm proud of the fact that we have made it to the round of 8, but to come so close. Remember, they finished top 5 at Las Vegas, Rick, and at the end of that race looked like they could win that race. To come so close and you can taste it makes it almost worse if we don't advance to the championship 4.
Yeah, Marty, you remember we had Chase Briscoe running in the top 3 when he came onto pit road, and that mistake happened where the gas can didn't come free from the car. It went into the next pit stall, removing equipment from your stall. It penalized him. It put him at the back. He actually went a lap down and had to get the free pass.
He has. He's recovered, at least got that lap back, running 16th. But with 137 to go, long ways from the finish. But a lot of conversation on the radio as we listen to different teams about fuel. And how do you save fuel here? One thing that a lot of crew chiefs are asking is, what does your car drive like, or how slow are you if you don't shift? Watch this 14. He's one of the best at it. Reaches down, upshift. He's going to go down to the corner, reach over very calmly. Well, he doesn't wait very long. He downshifts right away. Shifting helps lap time, more RPM, helps the car drive better, but definitely burns more Sunoco fuel. So the question is, if you are 6 or 7 laps, now it's only a half-mile racetrack, 7 laps, 3.5 miles. How do you find those 7 laps? One way may be to limit the amount of shifting in this closing 100 laps.
That is a major challenge for a driver, Steve. The car is not going to drive anywhere near as well if you're not shifting. It's not going to slow down as well in the middle of the corner. It's not going to accelerate. You're going to have to drive completely different if you decide not to shift.
Can Bell do it again? We saw it earlier in the playoffs. He was able to win his way to the next round. Well, this is a fight for the championship 4. Only 125 laps to go to determine who the championship 4 will be in the Cup Series. Xfinity Series has already been determined. 3 junior motorsports cars, as well as Ty Gibbs, who had a controversial win yesterday right here at this track. That championship determined on Saturday on USA. It all gets started at 5:30. Then on Sunday, Countdown to Green kicks us off for the Cup Series at 1:30 on NBC and Peacock. Can Christopher Bell join Joey Logano and right now Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin as the championship 4? That's the way they run currently. Ross Chastain out by 6 points as they run.
Ross has not been able to move forward at all this entire run. Right now, getting a little bit of pressure from this 24. William Byron who's in 14th place. And this guy's lost his track position and just can't get it back.
Great battle by William Byron today. You know, he was a lap down earlier. Kept fighting, keeping himself in contention. What do you have on Chastain?
Well, they've been battling some handling issues all day. Of course, we talked about how loose they were at the start. Had it a little bit too tight that last run. And because of some of the chassis adjustments they made, we saw that left front lockup in the contact with Keselowski, and he's complained about it a couple other times as well. Just because of how they adjusted the heights on the race car, it altered the loads and was causing that left front to lock up a little bit more. So they're trying to manage that as well with some air pressure and some other things, while also not changing the balance of the race car too significantly. So the main thing is they need to get it a little better for Ross if he's going to go up here and pass some cars, but obviously running out of time to do that.
The other thing, Dylan, that is in Ross Chastain's favor, if a caution comes out, that's a good thing for Ross Chastain, because he has been the best at restarts and has had the best pit crew of these playoff drivers. So if they do come back to pit road, he could gain some spots on pit road, and that's what he needs right now to catch Denny Hamlin in the points.
Yeah, they've had opportunities today. They just haven't been able to capitalize. And if he gets another chance at a restart, he's going to have to do things he's not comfortable with. I know that even for him, he's going to have to move some people out of the way to be able to get a shot in the race for a championship. That's the only way I believe it's going to happen, without some sort of a big issue up front to give him a handful of spots.
Well, I think there's a lot still to be decided here. We're about 35 or 30 laps away from all of those wave around cars that Jeff Burton pointed out on the last yellow. They're going to have to come to pit road to get fuel. So when that happens, we're going to have about 20 cars come to pit road for gas. They're going to come back on brand new tires. Then we're going to have an entirely mixed up pace on the racetrack. That could generate a yellow. You see the leaders, they only have about 60 laps. But look down at Gilliland, McDowell, Gibbs. They're 116, 117 laps on this load of fuel. We thought they could go about 150. Dylan. I'm sorry, Parker.
Well, and to your point on fuel, if you look there at the 10 car of Eric Almirola, they just came on the radio here in the last 2 laps and said, you are good on fuel to the end. So we're hearing some of these cars in the top 10 talk about it, where they're at. I've heard a couple cars be 5 laps short maybe, but the 10 there of Eric Almirola was just told he is good to go to the end here with 116 to go.
I love that fact that, you know, listen, you have to ask yourself, if you're Christopher Bell, are you going to run out of gas or are you going to pit? You're in a must-win situation. You got the 10 of Almirola, right? What do you have to lose running it again? That's what makes this very difficult. It's easier early in the year to say, well, everybody's going to do this. Everybody's going to come for gas. The playoff guys are worried about running out of gas, but there are so many drivers in the field that'll be okay running out of gas if they thought they could win a race. Marty.
Steve, I've gotten an answer. Everything from no way we can make it to the end to we're about 4 or 5 laps short, to a couple of teams who say we're going to try it, like Matt McCall and Brad Keselowski sit in 11th right now, just like Parker reported about Eric Almirola. They think they have enough fuel to make it. But Steve, if you're 4 or 5 laps short here at Martinsville, A, I think you can save that, but B, wouldn't you just risk it anyway, especially if you're not a playoff team?
I would absolutely risk it, and I absolutely wouldn't believe all the crew chiefs that have told you everything that you just reported, because I'm not going to show my hand to anyone. Now, you can start to get an idea as you scan cars. To your point, Marty, if you have to save 4 laps, you have to give your driver a little bit of information, but not with 113 to go. I think you could wait way longer into this run before you have to commit. The concern is you lose somewhere between 35 to 40 seconds pitting here at Martinsville. So these tires have fallen off almost a second. So if you know you have to pit and you are kind of have enough of a gamble to pit with 50 to go, your new tires might basically offset the time you lost on pit road, Dave.
And Steve, crew chief Adam Stevens, crew chief for the leader, Christopher Bell, wanted options. He hammered Christopher Bell during the caution. Save, save, save. Save me fuel. We are on the edge. And that's a quote. So he wants that option to be able to go fuel-wise if he can, if he has to. Marty?
Dave checking in with Joey Logano and his team just to confirm. Joey just asked the question, are we trying to make it all the way on fuel here? Paul Wolf said, nope, we're going to be 4 laps short from here. And no comment about Logano saving the fuel. But Jeff, I would think, certainly at Martinsville, you talked about how you can save fuel. 4 laps to me would seem easy, but I've never driven a Cup car either.
Marty, I think it's easy to save 4 laps with enough notice. Like if you tell me with 20 to go to save 4, I can't do that. If you tell me with 100 to go, I think I could easily save you 4 laps. There's plenty of opportunities to come out of the throttle really early, wait on the throttle. Plenty of opportunities to do that in lap traffic. So yes, I think you can do 4, but they're acting like they're afraid that they won't even try it.
And there's no, gauge inside the car for the drivers to look at. Oh, the 15 cars around. 15 cars around in the turn 3. No contact for J.J. Yaley.
J.J. Yaley around, caution comes out, and now, is this going to be called the money stop, or are we going to see something after this now with 108 laps to go?
Well, how about this? You're not guaranteed to have another, so until you're proved different, you better plan on this being the one that matters most. You don't need a lot of fuel. We just talked about how close they were.
Oh, we're just getting
so
turned
now
around
crew
here.
chiefs
The
have to
7
make a
just hit us
decision
again.
how much fuel you want to put in the car. You want it to run as light as possible. A lighter car is a faster car. It's easier on rear tires over the course of a long run, but it does change your balance. Usually tightens it up a little bit getting in, which is great. It also tightens it up the middle, so you have to make a little offset to go against that. And we've continued all year long to talk about pit stops and how much they've kind of swapped this field, this new single lug, and the timing of it all. Now at one of the most difficult pit roads. That's what makes this venue so great for this race, is it's not just what the drivers do on the racetrack. These pit crew members are expected now to perform in some of the toughest conditions. These pit boxes are only 14 feet wide, 28 feet long. There's not a lot of space when you put a car in there. So we'll see, can this 9 car use this #1 pit stall that their teammate gave them after qualifying by not choosing it? This could be an important moment for the 9.
This was a lap before the spin.
See some contact here.
Got into the 19. Here comes Bubba in the 45.
Yeah, so then he just goes down in here and
he gets a little help from the 7.
Oh, yeah.
Corey LaJoie sends him down in the corner.
You've seen that before?
Saw it yesterday.
Yeah, multiple times.
So that brings the caution out, and now the pit crews will go to work. Can spots be gained? They've been so difficult to be gained on the racetrack. Can they be gained on pit road?
And, I'm thinking it's a must for 4 tires with 100 laps to go, but we haven't seen 2 tires a lot this year. But with this interesting timing and not needing a lot of fuel, does somebody do something like that? I can't imagine it's on the table, but I've seen some crazier calls before. I don't know if I've changed lefts or rights, to be quite honest. So, I mean, there would be a lot to figure out. I think you'd have to do 4 here, because with 100 to go, if we had more yellows, Rick, then maybe you would try to take 2 or do something different at that point.
Steve, a big advantage right here for Christopher Bell. He had such good pace. He was able to put a lot of lap cars between he and the second place runner of Chase Elliott. So he's got 6 cars between him. So now Chase Elliott, he can't close up yet. He cannot close up. He's limited on when he can do. It's kind of a vague rule, like when you can close up. But regardless, Christopher Bell is going to enter pit road. Chase Elliott doing a great job of closing, but it's still a 5-car length advantage. So his pit crew has an advantage. They've got to take advantage of it. Dave.
Bell leapt to the lead last time on pit road. He said, I need more of the same. That's the adjustment. He says, I don't know what else I could ask for. As for Ryan Blaney, he debated himself on whether to have the car be tightened up or not. And as for Denny Hamlin, just a little slower pit stop last time. Was it a longer fuel bill? We'll see if the 11 can recover, Marty.
We'll see if Chase Elliott closed up enough there on Christopher Bell on the entry to pit road, hitting his stall. He said, I'm okay, tighter that run, but drive off was a lot better, and I felt like the car was really going to hang on the longer we went there. 4 tires for Chase Elliott, also Sunoco fuel in the car as well, trying to take advantage of that #1 pit stall. They actually come out second. How about that, Chase Elliott?
Now, Bell and Blaney, the 2 that need wins, they are running 1 and 2. Pit stops eventful in the fact that Bell and Blaney are now running 1 and 2. Hamlin comes out 6th and Chastain 11th, so a close one there. But Steve, you saw something on pit road you didn't like.
Well, I'm not sure I didn't like it. I think I love it. If I'm the crew chief of the 12 car, we saw the gap coming to pit road. We got to try to take as much time as you can anywhere. The 12 using the radius of the corner, he's pulling into his pit stall because he is so early on pit road. So, it's one thing when you have a straight pit road, but watch this. I mean, the pit road goes left. The 9 stays out wide. The 12 basically just shorts his way right into his stall. It's right here in front of the 24. So nice work by Ryan Blaney, taking every bit of advantage possible, and that's what makes a difference. At the other end of pit road, he beat the 9 off pit road. Now he is the 2nd car running. Remember, he's in a must-win. Lined up behind Bell, you got to take everything you can take on pit road. It's all a competition. Ryan Blaney and his team Hey, we talked about Ryan Blaney not being able to close out races here recently. A downshift at Miami, a spin at Las Vegas. Well, here he is, 100 laps left to go in the race, and he is dialed in, taking advantage of everything, trying to give his team a chance.
How about this, Steve? 2 points separating Hamlin and Chastain for that final position now.
Yeah, and Hamlin running pretty good currently in 6th before the choose. Chastain running in 11th before the choose. So this is going to come right down to the wire.
And these numbers would change if Bell is not leading or if Blaney is not leading. But if those two are leading, then this is the way the numbers will shake out. Dylan.
And for the first time all day, they've told Ross Chastain exactly what the numbers are. They kind of just had kept him afloat of where everybody else was, but under this yellow, they said it's 2 points right now. That's all we need, and it's down between us and the 11. It doesn't matter if the 12 or the 20 wins, but if they do, we got to beat the 11 for sure, Dave.
Denny Hamlin lost 2 more spots on pit road that time. I just had a direct conversation with Chris Gabehart. I asked, are you guys struggling, or are you just getting beat by better stops? He said it was just slow.
Well, there you go. It was just slow.
Well, listen, we also talk about pit stop location. The 11 is right in the middle of the straightaway. This has evolved. When I was down there, wasn't a lot of timelines. Where the 11 was pitting was really pretty good because you could kind of accelerate in, accelerate out. We just showed what the 12's doing. You know, have other teams found a way to kind of find an advantage on pit road, or is it the pit stop in general for the 11? I will tell you one thing. This single lug, I've watched it for an entire year. It's still my internal timing isn't quite down to a 10-second pit stop yet. It's hard to tell a good or bad pit stop. You show me an old 5-lug pit stop, I can tell you right away it's fast or slow. Every one of these look faster than I can imagine.
Just lost 2 more spots on pit road, so we talked about Hamlin dominating this race. You know, you lose a little bit of track position, then you lose a little bit more, and it becomes that much more difficult to get done, and now he's in this tight point battle. You know, only 2 points to the good from Chastain. I mean, every position matters, and at some point, if we have another pit stop, that team is going to have to step it up. And can Chastain take advantage of it? Can his pit crew step it up and have a great pit stop? Can Chastain have a great restart?
Yeah,
you said it earlier, Junior. He's going to have to do some things he's not comfortable with. I think he's comfortable doing a lot of stuff.
I was wondering, the opportunity here is going to be in the choose. That might present some opportunity on this restart for him to do some things depending on where the 11 goes and how many cars are on the inside.
Yeah, where the 6 lines up, because he's got a little bit of history with him earlier today.
So I just want to go back to what Jeff was talking about. When Dale said that about the 1, I knew what you were saying, but I would love to see the list of what exactly Ross Chastain was not comfortable with.
Well, I think
sure.
No, but I think with this car, we've talked about it. They have to hit each other harder to move them out of the way. They have to do things differently. You're going to have to dive bomb guys into the corner, even 3 wide. You're going to have to do some things that are absolutely going to infuriate people. Let's listen to some in-car radio.
So the 11 is going to pick from 6, us from 11. We've got to finish within 2 positions of him to beat him in points.
So he's got a clear information on what he needs to do, and he sees that car right out in front of him.
Ready for the restart. 97 laps to go from Martinsville.
There you see it. I mean, he tried to make a 3-wide move. The 1 car down to the inside, blocked by Cole Custer. Everybody trying to get to the bottom of the racetrack. A lot of contact on this inside lane. Everyone trying to get in the same line. Presents an opportunity for the guys on the outside to take advantage of that. As the inside line checks up, Kevin Harvick in the 14, all those guys making up spots, moving forward.
And that pushes the 1 of Ross Chastain further back. So it's once again back to 6 spots, 6 points, separating the 11 and the 1.
Oh, William Byron.
3 wide. Byron on the inside. Harvick right in the middle. Chase Briscoe on the outside. He tucks in behind the 4.
Harvick finally gets to the inside in front of the 1 car of Chastain. Sends the 21 up the racetrack. William Byron's not going to like that.
Here comes the 1 of Chastain now as he tries to get inside of Briscoe.
Saw Byron go to the left, just blocking that inside position. William Byron knows he's got to win this race at this point. Little tire rub right there on the 1 car to the side of the 14.
Under 100 laps to go to determine the championship 4.
In 2 cars that needed wins, or one for sure needed a win in the 20, but the 12 that needed a win over the course of the day, running 1-2.
0.3 of a second separating Christopher Bell up front in the 20 and Ryan Blaney in the 12.
Isn't it amazing how in these playoffs and these cutoff races we see teams and drivers step up to the moment. You just said it, Steve. These two teams having to win this race, and there they are, both in position.
Well, and if Blaney wins, he'd be the 20th winner. Don't forget, he hasn't won this year. He's one of the only playoff drivers to not go to victory lane. Can you imagine 20 winners and be the win you need to transfer?
He was the only playoff driver that hasn't had a win this season. Take another look here. That was that contact with Ross Chastain. Bell and Blaney now trying to separate themselves. Fuel not an issue anymore after that last pit stop.
With 90 laps to go, drivers, we've seen what, like 50 laps on the tires. The handling has really changed on some of these cars. So even though you want to push for all it's worth, you got to remember 90 laps to go in this race. You still have to be conscious of not burning those rear tires off.
Chastain trying to get a spot on Harvick.
Every point is one position.
Steve, I think that's a tough situation for a driver that you just brought up. You see Chastain, he's got to get every spot he can. It's really difficult for him to try to save tires right here, right? He's got to go get those spots. He can't assume that you're going to have cautions. He's got to assume that he's just got to get spots and whatever happens, happens. So Chastain right now, he's just going as hard as he can.
Chastain currently running in the 13th spot. Bell up front trying to win his way into the championship 4. 180 laps remain. The NASCAR Cup Series playoffs on NBC. The Xfinity 500. And this will determine the championship 4. Joey Logano's already locked in. These 3 drivers are still fighting for a shot in that championship 4. Dave?
In position to advance, Christopher Bell. Remember, for the car changes on the last pit stop, he couldn't think of anything to make it better. Adam Stevens went with his gut, with the seat of his pants, with his years of experience, and did just a slight adjustment to keep up with the racetrack late in this day. Bell continues to lead. As for Denny Hamlin, he had a little air pressure adjustment that freed the car up a bit, and now he's been locking the brakes coming into the corner just a little bit. He was told by the crew chief, work on your brake bias. No response. When he reminded him, Denny said, I've done it. They need not to get chippy here and hang in there with the 11, Dylan.
Spotter Brandon McReynolds on the 1 car of Ross Chastain has been teaching and explaining to Ross just exactly where some of the other drivers are running on the racetrack, namely Chase Elliott, who we talked about this weekend, has kind of a unique approach to the corner around this racetrack. They're trying to get Ross to try that line now, the Chase Elliott line here at Martinsville, just to see if it'll work, Marty.
Dylan, as of right now, Chase Elliott would be the other player in the championship 4, and boy, did he know what he was talking about. Coming into the round of 8, he said, I'm worried about this round. He finished 21st at Las Vegas, 14th at Miami, but Martinsville has always been salve for Chase Elliott. Won here in a must-win 2 years ago, Parker. Today, doing what he needs to do to make the championship 4.
Right, Marty, and for William Byron, he's in a position where he must win as well, and he was ahead of that 14 car of Chase Briscoe, but he couldn't get by Cole Custer. His team let him know that Chase Briscoe was faster than him, and maybe he could create a hole. He let him by, which put him in 11th, Chase in the 10th, and seeing if Chase can get by Cole in front of him. Sometimes at Martinsville, that's what you have to do, Marty. Let a faster car by and let them make the hole.
Little wall contact there for Chase Briscoe, now back in the top 10. When Kyle Larson was asked about Briscoe earlier this weekend, he said he is so aggressive. If he's up front and close, he knows he needs to win. He's going to be very dangerous at the end of this race. So Chase Briscoe back in the top 10. Is he willing to move his way to the front? We'll find out.
We've seen that. As a matter of fact, yesterday we saw Ty Gibbs, the Xfinity driver, who was already locked into the championship 4 on points, move a teammate out of the way to win the race. So what will someone do to get into the championship 4 and have a shot at the title? We're about to find out with under 73 laps to go here at Martinsville.
5 car here. Larson putting a little bit of pressure on his teammate. These guys both running different lines around the corner. Last couple times down here in 3 and 4, Larson's been a little higher, even on corner exits. See him put the lefts in that rubber in the middle of the racetrack, drifting up, kind of diamonding that corner. The 9 of Chase Elliott right around the bottom of the curb.
Chase's line's a little tidy, a little cleaner, but the 5's line kind of preserves some drive off on the rear end, being able to keep the wheel a little straighter on corner exit by using a diamond in the middle.
Those two fighting for position. You see the different lines between the 5 and the 9. I referenced last night and Ty Gibbs and what he did. Well, this was an overtime restart after the 19 got past him. That was the 54 of Ty Gibbs punching him out of the way, and Brandon Jones slams into the wall. Ty Gibbs goes on and wins the race. And a lot of people, as you hear in Martinsville, did not like the move. They booed him louder than we've heard from a long time at Martinsville, as he not only was celebrating on the finish line, but also up on the stage. They were chanting different things, but obviously a raucous crowd here at Martinsville. And what will we see today with Christopher Bell up front? Bell, Blaney, Elliott, Larson, and Hamlin all running in the top 5. Bell, he is just 67 laps away from a win. To go from Martinsville, now 59 as the 20 crosses the stripe. We're with you until 6 o'clock. And tonight, once again, Peacock, the site for the NASCAR America post-race show for extended coverage. Christopher Bell out front, and we saw a shot going to break earlier of Coach Joe Gibbs on the pit box, watching very closely. This would be a monumental win for the organization. Oh, and contact made there from the leader. Christopher Bell got into the 2 of Austin Cindric. Let's see what Austin Cindric does. We've seen it before when he got hit, and he's not going to retaliate against the race leader.
Yeah, Austin's 3 laps down right here. Bell goes to the bottom. They get checked up in front, and Bell just comes off the bottom, and that wasn't an intentional contact.
Another spot gained by Ross Chastain as he goes by the 10 of Almirola. Now 4 points separate Hamlin and Chastain right now for that final spot in the championship 4.
The only problem for Chastain is he's got about a half a straightaway to the next position, the 24 car of Byron. So a long ways to go to be able to start to gain more positions.
Chastain doesn't have great pace right now either. It's not bad, but compared to Bell, Blaney, Elliott, he's off a couple tenths.
And guys, I'm going to tell you, it was only a couple cars, the 51 and the 2, but they have really stacked up those leaders, right? The 12 is now right on the rear bumper of the 20, and they have about a half a straightaway. Then there's more lap traffic. With 56 to go, these cars are going to continue to find lap traffic. Blaney now can see the win he needs to advance right in front of him. Oh my goodness.
What will Blaney do?
Well, remember, Blaney's in this situation because the last 2 races he's made mistakes. Spun the car a couple weeks ago. Last week, an inverted downshift, spun on the apron, so he's got the pressure of picking that team back up. He feels like he put them in this position. Now he can turn it. Now he can turn it around and make this a moment where he overcame that adversity. Could be a career moment for Ryan Blaney.
44 laps on this run, Rick. This is kind of that area. About 50 laps is where we saw the handling really start to change. So about 5 or 6 more laps, the slipping and sliding will continue, and they still have to run 52 laps to the finish.
We've seen the 11 of Denny Hamlin. He's gotten better as we've reached that mark that you mentioned. Will these other cars have made the right adjustments on that last pit stop so that they also can have their best runs late in the run?
And 448 laps into this race, shifting every lap on every straightaway, brakes wearing out. We saw the 3 car have a brake issue earlier. We're hearing some other drivers talk about some brake fade. This is what makes this short track so exciting, is it still beats up your car. How hard have you pushed it? How much have you saved? We talk a lot about saving tire. We rarely talk about saving car. But if you have a little better brakes in the car in front of you, now's the time in the race that it shows.
Talk about saving brake and saving your car. You know, I just don't think the leader can do it. Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, they are operating on max capacity at the moment. You have to assume that you need this lead. You don't know when a caution's going to come out. You can't know it's going to go to 49 laps. So you have to be pushing. There's no saving with these two guys right here.
Yeah, I think if Blaney can reach him, he needs to reach out and touch him and push him up the racetrack immediately, try to take that spot away. And as we do get to this point to where we see the cars kind of change, slide around a little bit, this is where that 11 car actually gets better, starts driving underneath guys off the corner and moving forward. He's right there on the back bumper of the 5 of Larson and the 9 car Chase Elliott, ready to take those 2 positions away any minute.
Bell and Blaney both trying to get into the championship 4. It would be the first time for either driver if they could accomplish it. Laps to go. A driver in a must-win situation to advance to the championship 4, and Christopher Bell right now in that position. You see other drivers that have done it before. Brad Keselowski, Harvick, done it a couple times. Hamlin, Chase Elliott. Now, can Christopher Bell duplicate what he did at the Charlotte Roval, where he had to win to advance? That's what he is presented with. And right now, he is doing a masterful job as he has been out front for 136 laps already, and a 1.3 second lead over Ryan Blaney running in second. Well, the battle right now for points, the 11 and the 1 fighting for every spot they can get on the track.
Right now, Denny Hamlin 4 points to the good on the cut line. Chastain 4 points down to the 11 car. Denny's in 5th. He's got a little bit of a gap in front of him, plenty of clear space behind him, no pressure either way. The 1 car is closing in ever so slowly on the positions in front of him.
You can see the 22 up there. We're going to get by him.
So he's getting told he's got to pass the 24, the 41, 14, and 22. All cars out in front of him that he can visually see on the racetrack. That is a long way to go with only 36 laps to go in this race. But he knows what he's got to do. It's clear from his crew giving that information, Dylan.
And I think that's the thing, Junior, is does he have enough time? But one of the things that crew chief Phil Surgeon told me this morning that has put them in the position they're in to even have a shot at fighting for the championship 4 appearance is that the entire team, driver, crew chief, pit crew, all performing at their best. They have done so the last couple of weeks. They had a shot. Now it's up to Ross. Does he have enough time? Does he have enough car to perform at his best, dig deep here, and get the spots that they need? Time will tell.
I think what's going to dictate both this points battle and the race win is going to to be traffic, right? Because the 1 is running down the groups in front of him, that is points. And this is what the 20 of Christopher Bell is running into, right?
The 77's in the wall.
Hard
Castle hard into the wall, turn 3 and 4.
Caution comes out. We'll have another restart. 34 laps to go in the race.
A very similar incident to what Austin Dillon had. Looked like a right front.
Earlier, I was going to tell you, so I'm going to make it 30 more laps.
It looked like a brake failure issue or some type of an issue getting in the corner. Car just would not slow down.
Right front's on fire just a little bit.
On fire. That rubber burning.
Yeah, and sometimes if you break a rotor, when you step on the pedal, push the brake pads and the pucks out of the caliper, so brake fluid comes out and it'll catch on fire.
Man, this changes everything, guys.
Oh my goodness. Now the question is, to pit or not to pit? And if you pit, is it 2 tires or 4 tires? Without a doubt, the tires are worn. 64 laps, new tires are going to be an advantage. It's not what you do, it's what does everybody else do. Because if you pit and 10 guys stay out, big trouble.
Steve, 17 cars on the lead lap, and right now Christopher Bell in probably the toughest position of everyone. He's up front.
This will be our last stop.
You hear Adam Stevens, and I agree. I think right now you just have to make a decision. You can't worry about it. If I'm the 20, without a doubt, 33 laps to go, I'm putting fresh tires on Christopher Bell.
4
tires.
Okay.
4 tires for sure. You're wearing the left, you're wearing the right. Drive off is an issue.
No fuel?
You maybe put a little in. That's a balanced decision. They don't really need fuel. It's really what they think they want for both nose weight and how light they want their car for the sprint to the finish. The real question is, it's only 32 laps. So if you are putting fresh tires on, you are not putting them on at the same air pressure you've put them on all day long when you expect to run 130 laps. So the decision first is, do you pit? And then, can the pit stop be what you need? And then on top of all of that, can you make the right adjustments? But the question is, guys, would somebody stay out like the 14 car?
Well, and Steve, one advantage that Christopher Bell does not have that we've seen before, there's only 2 lap cars between he and Blaney. See right here? So we've seen previous pit stops, the leader comes on with a major gap between. I think we've seen Blaney get really aggressive on pit road. He's going to do his best to close that to Christopher Bell. That's going to put some pressure on that pit crew of that 20 car.
This also sets up a scenario. You mentioned it, Steve. What does the 14 and the 24 do? I mean, here is their chance to change the outcome for them to go to the race for a championship. I know that it's very unlikely that they can stay out on old tires and make it work, but that's really all they can do.
Yeah, the 14, I'm doing whatever they all don't do. If they all stay out, I'm getting tires. If they pit, I'm staying out. Let's listen into the 14.
If only 3 stay out, we're staying out too. If 3 or more stay out, we're pitting.
All right, you gotta have to make a decision. I like that feedback. Everybody starts to come. The 20, there's the 12, the 9, the 5. I believe you got the, there you have it. The 14 stays out, 41 stays out as well, Dave.
Oh boy, here you go, Christopher Bell. A little tight on stickers the first couple of laps, so they'll make an adjustment for that. Denny Hamlin says, I think I could be just a little bit freer in that 11 car, but the big thing, his team needs a fast stop, Marty.
Chase Elliott said I was just way too tight there. I was working across the middle to get the car to turn. He told Alan Gustafson, I don't know what you need to do. All I know is I need to be back where we were at the run before that. So Chase Elliott trying to finally take advantage of this #1 pit stall for fresh Goodyear tires. But how about the call by Johnny Klossmeyer's team to leave Chase Briscoe out? Love it.
You see the variety. Larson on 2 tires. Keselowski, Byron, I believe, was 2 as well. And then a group of 4 tires.
It is an absolute shootout to the end here to find out who the championship 4 will be, and that is settled next weekend in Phoenix for the Xfinity Series Countdown to Green on USA at 5:30. That race at 6 o'clock. On Sunday, Countdown to Green on NBC and Peacock at 1:30. The race at 3:30. Well, Steve, so much happened on pit road here.
Well, so many things. Let's unpack the first. Concern coming into the playoffs for the 11-team pit stops. And once again, watch this left front right here. Watch that tire changer. They're going to jack it up. Pulling. Left front won't come off. The jack man has to jack it one more time. Slow stop for Denny Hamlin and taking 4 tires. He actually gets beat out by the 1 of Chastain. And then you look on the left side. Old tires for Briscoe and Custer. Can the old tires hold up? Behind them, a group of 2 tires. Larson, Keselowski, Byron also needing to win. And then Christopher Bell back there in 6 on 4 tires. Can he find a way to get to victory lane? And the battle down here, we are not going to want to miss this. With a new winner, it's a points battle between the 1 and the 11. So Your eyes are going to have to be everywhere, Rick, because there's battles everywhere.
Well, Chase Briscoe being up front, that is what is creating that points battle between the 11 and the 1. If Chase Briscoe falls out of that lead, then both the 11 and the 1 would move up, and they would both be in the championship 4.
It's not just Briscoe on the front row with old tires, it's Custer as well. So you're going to have, let's see what they do when they come to the choose. They're not choosing this lap, but what do they do? Do they split the front row, one on the bottom, one on the top? I can't believe they would give somebody the outside with new tires. So I think they'll probably split it, but having them side by side is going to make it a little more difficult for somebody to make a pass really quickly.
Well, the best way to do this, and this is a little controversial because we talk about teams helping, but it's been done at Martinsville for years. It was done yesterday. If I am these two cars, if I'm the 14, I take the top. If I'm the 41, I take the bottom, and then the 41 lets the 14 in. That would be the plan I would try to do, and that way at least I have one car behind me on the bottom to try to protect, because the 5 and the 6, let me tell you, they could care less what Chase Briscoe has on the line. They're going to be pushing.
What concerns me also is the pace behind, right? So here we're coming to the choose, but these cars are going to be going much slower when they enter turn 1. How's that going to stack the field up? Is that going to cause a wreck in the 4th, 6th, 7th row behind them? We see it so many times. They've split the front row.
Oh, man, we saw so many guys on the last restart fighting to get to the bottom of the racetrack. Who's willing to jump on that outside line and try to take advantage of all of those cars bottlenecking the bottom of the racetrack?
The 11 picked the outside. The 1 picked the inside. They're separated by 4 points.
I like that move. We saw that inside not work for Chastain. The previous restart, he lost multiple spots.
Look at the 3rd row, guys. Byron and the 20. Those two right there, right? A win by either one of those changes everything, and they're on fresher tires.
How will the tires work out? A big strategy call for the 14 of Chase Briscoe, trying to win his way into the championship 4. 24 laps to go for Martinsville. The 14 and the 41 clear the 5.
Custer pulled down in front of Larson. Oh, Briscoe's up the racetrack.
Briscoe able to hang on to that top spot.
Bell's clearing 5th back there. Here comes Brad Keselowski. Into 3rd, looking to the outside of the 41.
And how hungry is Brad Keselowski? Hasn't won in 2022 as a driver owner. He's got the 5 on the inside of him, though, still fighting for that 3rd spot.
Bell's got to start making some moves here. Laps are winding down.
Tires have not been a big issue here, Steve. We're seeing the 14 and the 41 handily stay out in the 1st and 2nd spots.
Hamlin sends Chastain up the racetrack down in turn 3 and 4. Chastain coming back to the back bumper, sends Hamlin up the racetrack.
Oh, that is going to turn into something. These two have beat and banged all year long. What's going to happen?
More contact. And again, they continue to fight as they go through 3 and 4. More contact. Almost up into the wall. The 1 since the 11. Here comes the 11. Dive bombing in front. He goes too hard into 1 and 2.
He's clear of the 99, though, so now he can get on the outside of the 1. Chastain did not let him get behind him. He checked up to keep him on the outside of him.
Giving you a shot.
And again, they've got to look at big picture. Yes, there once again, Ross Chastain has to finish within 4 spots of the 11 of Hamlin.
Chastain knew if Hamlin got behind him, he was going around.
And the 14 coming off a turn 4, 18 laps to go.
What a great call by the crew chief and a great work by the driver. The 14 has almost a half a second lead on the 41, over a second back to Keselowski on tires.
Bell with the new tires, all 4 not going anywhere. You would think he would just be able to drive right up to these guys to get around them.
I agree. I thought the call for tires was the right call for the 20, and I thought staying out was the right call for the 14.
Only 2 points separate the 1 and the 11. Denny Hamlin underneath the 9 car.
Again, a tiebreaker goes to the 1 of Ross Chastain if they end up with the same points.
That makes it
there's contact on 4. Keselowski in the 20.
3 wide, the 5, into the side of the 20. Larson aggressively taking the spot away from Bell.
And Briscoe's driving away from him.
Briscoe does not want to see a yellow. 16 to go, closing in on 15. He wants this to go green all the way to the finish.
Denny with another pass right here on the 45 of Bubba Wallace.
And we watch the points go back to 0, separating Chastain and Hamlin.
Briscoe, the fastest car on the racetrack, out there with old tires. That lap, though, Keselowski cut 2.5 tenths off of it. So now those new tires are starting to fire off with 14 to go.
Will it be enough time to catch the 14 of Chase Briscoe? Briscoe now almost 1 second lead over Cole Custer. Running in second, Keselowski a little over a second back.
Right now the 1 and the 0 tied. Denny needs one more position. He's going to have to take it away. Probably going to get pretty aggressive with this 22.
Ross Chastain falling back from the 9.
Ross is in defensive mode to keep Harrison behind him in the 21.
Keep getting what you can right here by half.
Harrison's got forward momentum. Ross is going to block it. Ross has got to do everything in his power right now. Cannot give up anything.
Ross is playing defense. He needs to be on offense. The 11 of Denny Hamlin trying to get another spot. If he does it, he would be in.
Up front, Brad Keselowski into second place. 11 laps to go with the 6 car now trying to close in on the leader, the 14.
And even with that pass, Brad Keselowski was a 10.5 faster than the 14 of Briscoe. Brad's going to run him down to see if he can do anything with him when he gets there.
Well, and can he hold off the 20? The 20 there is now only a car length behind the 6. Remember, the 20, a must win as well. So he's going to have very little patience if he can get to the bumper of the 6.
The gap closes ever so slightly, but Keselowski reeling in Briscoe.
Then he's trying hard to get around this 22, patiently working around the Ford of Logano.
Chase Elliott better hang on when the 1 car gets there.
Yeah.
And already the 11 moves up into the championship 4 by 1 point.
Chastain just does not have the car to do it. He has struggled all day long to get within a car length of anybody in front of him.
The 6 is getting close. He's within a car length now of Briscoe.
And he's going to have a couple more opportunities here. The 24 to the inside of the 41. Cole Custer.
Contact made.
Watch
6
Bell.
gets sideways.
Bell to
Here
the
comes
outside.
the 20. Christopher Bell trying to go to the outside. Way up the racetrack. Keselowski runs him. Now side by side for second. 7 laps to go here at Martinsville. More contact for second. Bell now clearing the 6.
They are so much more faster than the 14. Even with that battle rig, they are still closing in on the leader.
Here comes Christopher Bell. Now, just 6 laps to go.
We're going to need a couple spots here.
Bell, if he wins, that keeps the points the same for the 11 and the 1. They're still fighting to get in based on points. All over the back bumper, Christopher Bell. Now, just 5 laps to go from Martinsville.
Here comes the contact.
There's the push. He gets to the inside.
Up on the curve.
For the lead. Bell to the inside. Oh, and more contact behind him. The 6 gets shoved up the racetrack by Larson.
He's nice and smooth, clear by 3.
Ross Chastain trying to get by the 9. Again, that points battle to determine who is the final championship 4 driver. Now Bell pulling away with those fresher tires.
He's a 9 right here, Ryan.
Keselowski way up the racetrack. Briscoe on the outside 3 wide. His championship hopes starting to falter.
As Briscoe falls back through the field, though, that's another spot for Denny, potentially. You see Denny right there.
You gotta have a spot first. So
They're tied again. The tiebreaker goes to Chastain. Coming up on 2 to go.
Denny knocks the 24 up the racetrack.
Chastain doesn't have anybody in front of him to go past. He's too far away from everybody.
Less than 2 laps. Christopher Bell trying to do it again. He's already won his way to the next round. From Charlotte, 1 lap to go. Christopher Bell. If he wins the 1 and the 11, fighting for every point right now. Denny Hamlin, 2-point favorite to get in as the championship 4. Bell out of turn 4. He's gonna do it. He's won his way into the championship.
Let's go get us a championship. Hell of a job, bud.
Right at the line. The 1 of Chastain passed Hamlin.
It was a video game move off into turn 3. He put the car against the wall wide open all the way around turn 3 and 4.
Chastain, Elliott, Bell, and Logano are going to fight for a championship in Phoenix. Take a look at what he did.
I have never seen anything like that before in my life.
Made the transfer, man.
Wide open around the wall in 3 and 4 at Martinsville. Unbelievable.
Oh my goodness, I have never.
That was wild, man. That was wild.
And look at the right side of the car. It's destroyed. But he just did it. Ross Chastain, a 7th-generation watermelon farmer, was supposed to be racing in the Xfinity Series a couple years ago. That ride got pulled away from him. It looked as though his career in NASCAR was done. Take a look again at what just happened. Watch on the right side of your screen.
One outside over here. Outside, 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 outside.
Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack to race his way into the championship 4.
He went from 10th to 5th place on that last lap.
It almost doesn't look real. He's going
It doesn't.
so fast. Look at this. It looks like a video game. It doesn't look real. He is going so fast.
Trackhouse Racing now has their first competitor that could race for a championship.
How bad do you want it? That's how bad.
I can't even put into words how amazing the move he just did.
Not just the move, but what had he seen, felt, or thought, processed that was a move even available? I mean, think he waited to the last corner of the last lap of the transfer race so you could hear the engine on the rev chip, and out the window, I'm with you, Rick, I couldn't even process what I was seeing. It was a once-in-a-lifetime, a once-in-a-generation type move. I can't wait to hear what he thought as he entered turn 3 against the wall on purpose.
And Hamlin's like, what just happened? Like, there's no way Denny Hamlin can comprehend what just went on there. That is why Justin Marks hired that guy right there. He's talked about his commitment to winning, willing to do it all. On a day where Christopher Bell had a step-up moment with a shot to win a championship, that guy, Ross Chastain, also.
We've seen it before, but I don't ever believe we've seen it work. And certainly not work to that effect.
There's Justin Marks, co-owner of Trackhouse Racing with Pitbull. Big hug for Ross Chastain. Watch this. Just watch.
That is not
that's not sped up. That is not sped up. That is actual time. It looks as though it is sped up because no one's ever gone through 3 and 4 at Martinsville that fast, ever.
I am willing to agree with that, Rick. I believe that is a new record. I mean, his lap time was 2.5 seconds faster than Christopher Bell. 2.5 seconds. That lap was faster than the pole.
He ran an 18.8 lap on his last lap. And again, it's almost overshadowing what happened with Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell had to come in here and win this race. He did that. He came in and won this race. He had done it before at Charlotte at the Roval. And now, He has won his way into the championship 4 and a shot at the championship. Marty.
What a way for Joe Gibbs Racing to get their 200th win. Christopher Bell, back-to-back rounds, delivers in a must-win scenario. What were you thinking on that final restart, Christopher, trying to catch your good friend Chase Briscoe? I see the emotion in your eyes.
Mom and Dad, we did it! Woo! I can't believe it, man. To come here to Martinsville, this place has always been so tough on me. And, you know, pre-race, I was looking up and seeing all the fans, and this place is packed. And just, I don't even know what to say. Just thank you so much to DeWalt, Ream, Toyota, everyone on this Joe Gibbs Racing 20 team, man. They believed in me since day one. You know, we went to Xfinity and did really well, and struggled in the Cup side for the first little bit, and they stuck with me. So very appreciative to be here, and I don't even know what to say.
What is it about this race team that you guys can come through like this in back-to-back rounds, Christopher?
Man, you know, I say it all the time, but the driver is just a small piece of the puzzle for, you know, these races. And, you know, the reason why this car won today is because it was the best car on the racetrack. And Adam Stevens, Tyler, William, this entire 20 group, they never give up, you know? Our back's against the wall and it looks like it's over, and they show up and give me the fastest car out here. So just, I don't know, man, words can't describe this feeling.
That is the emotion, Dylan, of making the championship 4. Christopher Bell in a must-win. He delivers.